is Whataburger Friday Night Stars, presented by Game On Sports, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, and the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. Here's Kyle Yeomans, Zach Wolchuk, Eric Chiafalo, and Heckma Harrison.
Week 5 of Texas high school football in the DFW area will start you off with some of the top plays of the day. How about this? A fake punt from Flower Mound. That's Sessions running back for the first down. How about this? Lake Ridge receiver DeRose, 66-yard touchdown on the far sideline, streaking it to pay dirt. However, DeSoto still leads big in that one. Arlington Martin, quarterback. How about the scramble up the middle for the touchdown, able to break a couple tackles on his way to the end zone. Oh, he popped out of nowhere.
Wow.
Arlington Martin up big over Lamar in that rivalry. Lone Star quarterback, interception, or linebacker for Lone Star with the INT. One of 4 turnovers forced by that Lone Star defense in the first half. This is a fun one, though. How about this? Flower Mound halfback pass from Taylor Green. Touchdown in the back of the end zone. Flower Mound and the Jags in a battle for their life. What a fantastic game. And this one might be the most impressive of the night. Julio Perez. This is a punt we're showing you here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. 79 yards inside the 4-yard line.
Julio!
Jeez.
That is how good
That is unreal.
Week 4 has been.
Wow.
We get to show a punt highlight.
Hunters are people, too.
They absolutely are. Somebody tagged Pat McAfee, and the entire punting world needs to know about it. But that was impressive from Julio Perez. Welcome into Whataburger Friday Night Stars Overtime. We are back 9-11. We're going to give you all the highlights, scores, and info that you need around Texas high school football. Kyle Yeomans alongside the great Heckma Harrison, alongside Zach Wolchuk and Eric Chiafalo as well. It's been a fun day already. Lots of scores kind of surprising throughout the area. Zach, what has kind of stood out to you so far through the first couple of games, or really the first couple of hours this week?
Well, I would say Martin, the way that they're handling Lamar is very impressive. Now up 29-0 in that game. Kyle, you and I did take the Martin Warriors.
We did take
the probably the winner of this one. But
don't worry, Heckman's not used to losing.
Yeah, he's a very sore loser. But I didn't think that they would quite handedly
not like this.
Spank Lamar. I mean, to hold Jack Dawson and that Viking offense to a goose egg right now about midway through the third quarter, extremely impressive. And how about McKinney? You know, McKinney's been hanging in there with Allen. Allen's now up by 2 scores, but McKinney's been fighting in there. And then something that's going to make Mrs. Harrison very happy.
The Naaman Forest Rangers?
Naaman Forest is up 28-21 on Saxe, and all of a sudden, I think we need to look into Saxe and think, maybe this isn't quite the Saxe team we thought they were coming into the season.
And I'm going to apologize to Heckma Harrison because I kind of called him out last week.
It's okay.
And I said, hey, during our pregame show, I said, hey, that district's not strong. Saxe should run through it. No problem at all. Well, they lost last week.
I agreed with you.
And they might lose this week as well.
Well, you could take that L, too.
Saxe's not looking good. But we should probably give some credit to Naaman Forest here, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
let's give some love to the Rangers.
And also got to look at it. There's still 5.5 minutes left in the third quarter.
First one of the year?
Yes.
Very nice. Very nice.
Still a lot of time left in that game.
It's an improvement from last year because last year wasn't their first win in like week 7 or 8.
It took a while.
Yeah,
it took a while.
Took a very, very, very good while. You know what? You talk about games that are surprising. This Frisco Reedy game that we have right here in our backyard at the Star. Holy smokes! What a game that's been.
We could barely pay attention. This one is
the Raccoons got out to a big lead early on, and it's been Reedy ball the entire second half.
They just had an interception as well, just moments ago here from the Ford Center. If there's a replay that pops up, we'll show it to you here in just a moment. I believe it is being shown currently. The replay, look at this, just a throw on the run, and Reedy picks the ball off. They're tied up at 28 at the moment, by the way. It was a 28-7 lead for Frisco, and Reedy, who has the football now, has an opportunity with Jalen Kitten at quarterback to take the lead in this ball game. What has been an impressive game so far, back and forth from the Ford Center.
Yeah, Kyrie Green has had a struggle in this game. As you can see right there on that throw, I mean, it's night and day quarterback from what we saw last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had a handful
Even in the
of
first
ducks.
quarter. You know, I mean, the first quarter of this one, it was all Raccoons, and then this thing is just flipped on its head in a hurry.
Yeah, Will Harbor, Frisco Reedy, the Mr. Do Everything, kicking game, scoring touchdowns as a Wildcat
Got the best
quarterback.
calves in the game.
Great calves, diamond calves. They look remarkable. And he plays some linebacker for him as well. I mean, the dude's getting it done on all over the field. And we got some. I know we'll have some highlights later on in the show that'll have. You'll literally see him go from scoring a touchdown immediately to being the place kicker and go ahead and kicking the extra point.
You really can't miss those calves. But another game that it wasn't even one of our necessarily highlighted matchups, but Waxahachie up 24-21 on the road at Cedar Hill. They've really led that game throughout. Longhorns are on the ropes right now against the Indians.
And our Twitter account, by the way, run by Jeremy in the other room, tweeted out #upset alert, which is exactly what it is because, I mean, Cedar Hill's having some issues with Waxahachie. That's a Waxahachie team. Like you said, we didn't really give them enough credit.
We thought Cedar Hill would most likely roll. I mean, the Indians have not looked good this year, but they are giving the Longhorns everything they can handle and then some right now.
I'd be surprised to see Cedar Hill come out flat in that third quarter. I think they're going to make some halftime adjustments, and they might end up still winning that football game. But the fact that
Reedy?
Maybe. It's been different for Reedy as they now set up on a 4th and 2 to try and kick a field goal and take the lead. But
Will Harbor back at it.
He is all over the place.
They are flexing right now.
He is all over the place. But I mean, this has just been a week. It's kind of one of those weeks starting to turn into a surprise. Lots of surprising results. So you also have some blowouts in there as well. Flower Mound Marcus just taking Irving to the woodshed right now, 53-0. Hebron's up over Irving Nimitz, 51-3. Prosper, not necessarily looking that great, are they?
42-0.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They're
yeah,
they're keeping the momentum. I would assume Jackson Berry has still yet to be sacked through 4.5 games.
Probably.
Birdville's up 62-0 over Carrollton R.L. Turner. That one going into the fourth quarter there.
But man, Plano West is up on Plano.
Are they really?
14-13, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Are you getting a little nervous here?
I'm getting beyond nervous. I'm starting to schwitz.
I'm sorry, you're starting to what?
I'm starting to schwitz.
Sweat.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a fancy word for sweat.
No, he got me on that one. No doubt.
He feels so good about himself. When
Justin
he says
Northwest is up big over Fort Worth Southwest, 40-0.
Nice.
Ryan,
nice.
Is it Fort Worth Polytechnic?
It is not.
It's their sister school.
Denton Ryan's up 56-7 over.
Believe it or not, they're actually worse.
That's 56 unanswered for Ryan. They got down 7-0. If you believe that.
You know what? We didn't talk about this game earlier, but the Arlington Colts. I got to tell you, I got to say this to you and apologize. Chris Sims.
He looks great.
He's no laughing matter.
Yeah.
He is no laughing matter. 70-0. I mean, it was Trimble Tech.
Come on now. That's like Polytechnic here.
But Trimble Tech, that's what reminded me when you said that.
I bet Jahari Rogers is the reason why they won that game. Probably had like 4 interceptions for touchdowns.
Go ahead and pull up that game summary. Let's see if Jahari Rogers is on it.
All right, let's see. Give me a minute.
Just because.
Let me know Chris Sims' stat line when you're done.
191, 5 TDs, balling.
391, 5 TDs?
Yeah.
That's probably not good enough for Eric standards, though.
Well, it's not mine. It's Jahari Rogers standards. He set the bar.
That's pretty much what Jahari Rogers would have done as well.
Yeah, not seeing Jahari Rogers pop up on the stat sheet
At all.
But,
I'm just telling
but he's locking down half the field.
Yeah, and Arlington, I mean, he played a team that threw for a total of 14 yards.
So he did his job, too.
He absolutely did.
Fantastic job.
Somewhere in there, he did his job.
The defense that he was on had 2 turnovers. I assume that's 2 Jahari Rogers interceptions for touchdowns.
Ooh, I got one. I got one. Come on, guys.
Yeah, give it
Plano West.
No, stop.
Plano
West. Let's circle back.
No, let's not circle back.
How the Wildcats doing tonight?
Circle back.
Plano West.
I mentioned it already, Heckma. If you had been paying attention and not gloating over whatever the heck you were gloating about, we mentioned
it's a schmutznik.
It's hard not to be happy for a team like West, though. A team just searching for a victory.
It's really not hard to be.
Could West get it done today, though?
It's extremely difficult.
That's the big thing.
Fingers crossed next week is West week. Let's go play now.
2 in a row next week. Plano West.
That's the thing. All jokes aside for Plano alum Zach Wolchuk over here, Plano West could end the streak tonight.
Well,
There's
get
a
it.
legitimate
Come on.
opportunity here.
I think it feels likely at this
Yeah.
point.
That
does
would
it
be
not?
awesome.
I
It's
will-
only 1 point game.
I will-
At home with a
Let's calm
1-point
down.
lead. First time
Evil
you've led in a ball
vengeance.
game in about
At
3 years.
home. It's at home.
Well,
Yeah,
it's like a shared
exactly.
stadium between the
It's
two.
just like,
Between the two
It's just like
squads.
what Frisco's at home right now,
I
right?
guarantee
Against
you-
Greedy.
Your
That's
two
not working out
Plano's
great.
probably outweighing that Plano West section double the amount. No question.
Oh man, and it's been a fun week overall. Even Keller giving Southlake all they could handle in
Yeah.
that first half was something else that we kind of kept an eye on. Now Southlake did kind of pull away with 2 scores late in that second quarter in order to distance themselves a little bit. But you mentioned Arlington Lamar and Arlington Martin, and that's where we're going to start to run through some of these games. And Arlington Martin has just looked impressive from the get-go, 32-0. The score in that one, they scored 22 points in the second quarter alone
Jeez.
after a scoreless first half
my
on both
God.
sides.
Zach Mundell is putting in work.
He were 13 of 14, 188 yards and a touchdown. He also had a 70-yard rushing score. That young man is having one of his
Zach
best performances.
Mundell. And this was a game that I thought that Arlington's defense would play, they would definitely be able to contain Mundell, but he's done it on both sides, like you said. And man, they have Martin's defense has nullified all the speed that the 4x100 track team that I was talking about.
what happened to those guys?
I don't know. Maybe they had a couple of milkshakes before the game.
Jack Dawson, goodness gracious.
9 of 19?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many yards?
81.
81 yards.
Oh, not a
what
good
I
one.
was expecting from the guy who put up monster numbers just a
Yeah,
week ago.
it's a different ball game. I mean, I know this is a rivalry game, but man, I did not think that Martin would come out like this, and so I'm done doubting Martin.
I guess that iceberg is hit.
Right?
Well, then they've been running the ball so well. You talk about Mundell, and he got it done with his legs as well. But just overall, with Martin being able to run the ball as well as they have tonight, and then just how phenomenal their defense is playing. It's not even like they're forcing. It's not like Lamar and Jack Dawson are playing dumb and having a lot of turnovers. They have 0 turnovers. It's just that Martin's defense has just been stifling.
Well, and the big play has also bit Lamar a little bit. Look at the first downs comparatively, 16-13. What that tells me is that special teams and the big play have played a role in this football game overall. I mean, you had a 70-yard run from Mundell, like you talked about, 43-yard pass from Mundell to Jonathan Carter, a 35-yard field goal just a moment ago to make it 32-0. So, I mean, overall, the big plays have been there for Martin, and that's one of the big reasons why they were able to jump out in that second quarter.
No doubt. And they've run the ball extremely well. I think defensively, there wasn't much you were going to see from Lamar today that you didn't really see against Rockwall last week for Martin. I think that was a good preparation game heading into this district matchup. Rockwall's offense, they check a lot of the same boxes. In fact, they definitely have a better receiver in West compared to Jackson Smith. Jackson Smith is better than Traven West, even though Traven West also going to Oklahoma, outstanding in his own right.
Not even in the same food.
But no,
group.
not at all. and they got, they played against an elite
altogether
offense
different.
last week. So this week coming up against Lamar, they had a little bit, they knew kind of what they were getting up against, and their defense has been smothering today. Absolutely. You got to tip the cap to what the Martin Warriors have done.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
It's been impressive overall what they've been able to do today because, I mean, jokes aside in the pick'em, I mean, half of us thought that it was going to be a Lamar close win, or on our side, we thought it was going to be a Martin close win. It's not necessarily the case. I mean, that's just
I
been
didn't
a
think they put up
dominant
32
game.
points, to be honest.
That's impressive. And the
they
defense,
do have a ton of penalties. 11 penalties, 115 yards.
that'll have to
Still
be cleaned
dominating
up.
the
And they're still crushing it. Yeah.
A fun one overall. Let's move on to Bishop Dunn and Fort Worth All Saints. And this was a game early on where it was extremely low scoring. Chris Beam during the break made a joke that Fort Worth All Saints hit a double off the wall in the middle of the first half because it was 2-0 at halftime. I thought it was impressive, but still a baseball score, just a lopsided baseball score, 14-2. Dunn able to just kind of turn things around in the second half. They put up 14 points in that third quarter. Now with 5:49 left in the fourth, they have the football and an opportunity to potentially put Fort Worth All Saints away in a big-time win for Bishop Dunn and getting back to an even 500, which was important for them in this one.
Yeah, we talked about it coming in. I mean, Dunn, they've had a tough start to the season, 2-2. They got smoked by DeSoto. They had a tough loss last week at San Antonio, losing by a field goal. And they still have Parrish on the horizon. They got Bishop Lynch, and they got Prestonwood as well. So the schedule doesn't really get much easier for Dunn. The fact that they beat an All Saints team who came in very, very hot. We talked about Hamp Fay, the quarterback, and Jacob Matlock and Peyton Kramer and everything that All Saints has been able to do. And then defensively, they've been fantastic as well coming into this game. And you see Dunn, they're really able to do it from the turnovers. They're able to force 3 turnovers on that All Saints offense, and that's huge right now because the Dunn offense, you can see they've coming into today, the most points they've scored in a game was 23. Tonight they score 14, so it's not like they're putting up a ton of points. Their defense has set them up, put them in good situations, short field, and they've capitalized on it. So got all the credit in the world to the Dunn defense, who we said took a step back from last year. They were, they're the reigning champs in Division I for TAPS, and it was all because of that defense last year. This year they've taken a little bit of a step back, but tonight, huge statement win for Dunn in that defense.
Yeah, and they had some of the best defensive players in the state last year on that unit, forcing 2 turnovers today, 2 interceptions for Matthew Epperson. Pretty clutch for Bishop Dunn, no question about it. Those linebackers are doing their job.
Yeah, I look at Bishop Dunn. They lost so much talent at the beginning before the season even started, with some guys transferring out.
Last year was the Beeson twins, brothers.
Beforehand, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the other Orgy brother from Rockwall leave and then go to Bishop Dunn. He has a lot to do with the success that defense is having at free safety. Kid is 6'3", 220 pounds. He's a big hitter.
Yeah, playing free safety.
Yeah, and playing free safety, and he's a whole man out there. But what could they produce on offense? Simeon Evans, obviously, putting up some yards, 118, but it's all because of the defense and those turnovers that they're getting versus All Saints that's making a difference in this game.
It's been a difference maker.
Holding All Saints to 2.2 yards per carry. You talk about those linebackers, Walchuk. That's fantastic.
Pretty good.
That's what that is.
And Pearson Hendricks has done a decent job on the ground. We were wondering, who else could step up running the ball for Dunn. Pearson Hendricks averaging 8 yards a carry, 5 carries, 40 yards, a touchdown. There's someone else that's providing a little bit of pop for that run game.
Moving on to Denton Ryan and Denton. We can just get through this one pretty quick because it's kind of what we talked about earlier. I mean,
Show
like you said, 56 unanswered points for Denton Ryan after they got down 7-0 to start the game. And we set the over-under at 100 yards for Denton, and a lot of us said the under. Well, right now it looks like that might be the case.
What?
Really?
I mean, 59 yards of total offense so far, 7 on the ground. That's where I circle it right there. 7 yards rushing. That's impressive.
The 52 passing is pretty stifling as well. And we also had an over-under on the turnovers that Denton would have, and they're at 3. The over-under was 4.5. I did take the over, so I'm still pulling for 2 more turnovers if Denton could go ahead and do that for me.
We'll see. And and Drew Sanders did play, so it's very possible.
They have the ability to do it.
He's probably sitting down right now.
They have the talent to pull it off.
They do, but I don't know if those starters are still in the game.
And Chris
They
Beam
are
in the
still
back
in the game.
has an update. It is over 100 yards for Denton.
Wow.
They had a big run.
You see,
Huge run.
Look at that.
kidding
Turning
me?
around the Broncos.
Little adversity.
kidding me?
Absolutely.
That's big time.
That's standing ovation.
Unbelievable.
Give some love to Andrew Coker,
Big
48
time.
yards on the ground now.
Hey,
Attaboy, Coker.
Garbage time.
Way to clean it up, baby. Way to clean it
But
up.
Amani Bailey, 2 rushing touchdowns. Kiori Hicks added a pair of his own, and Seth Hennigan's got 2 touchdowns through the air. And guess who else has one?
Drew Sanders.
Drew Sanders,
Pick
1
six.
for 1, 31
Mr. Do-It-All.
yards. No, he threw a touchdown.
Oh, to Amani Bailey. That's right.
Yeah,
That's
so,
right.
hey, and Jatavian Sanders, Billy Bowman Jr., the usual cast of characters catching some touchdowns. Denton Ryan stars showed up, as they always do, as they continue to just roll through their regular season.
And you're right like rain right now.
3 turnovers?
Don't you love it? He just loved Denton Ryan so much. He gets so happy.
He
talking
does
about
love
He
Denton.
likes
Denton
Denton
Ryan.
Ryan.
You know what? It's a
He's
good
a little
program.
partial. He's partial. He loves the Hennigans. They have him over for dinner. He's a big Seth guy, even though you did
Something's
love
going
him.
on
The hay is in the barn, baby.
Denton, by the way, just scored to make it 56-14 with 2:10 left.
You're telling me they
In the
didn't get their
third
fourth
quarter.
turnover?
Nope, they put it in the end zone.
Shnikes.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Hey,
Denton hire people too. That's a good program.
They're just
Coming
not
there with
football players.
Coach Billy
That's
Miller
fun.
and the Broncos. You're doing good work, Billy.
Touchdown pass to Kevin Bell, 43 yards for the
Overstatement.
touchdown, by the way.
It's a little
Okay.
outmatched tonight.
Hey, by the way, I do want to apologize in advance to the Harrisons. Saxey has officially tied the ball game heading into the fourth quarters, 28-28.
That's a good football game.
No,
Oh,
it's a heck
there's
of a
the look
game.
from
Heck of a
Heckma.
game. It's not-
That's even better on camera.
I mean, don't kill the messenger here. All right? All I can do is report.
I got to deliver hope when I get home. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
I was almost there. You kind of made it like we had the bow on this thing already.
Well, not me.
Well, hey, you haven't checked the Lincoln score, so just pay attention to this game, and it'll make you feel
Come on,
better.
tell me.
Lincoln's got to be dominant.
Lincoln's getting crushed.
By how much?
It was like 31-0 last time I checked.
Is it more embarrassing to lose if you're Lincoln 31-0 to any other team?
I think it was
or
Fort Worth
for-
Nolan,
if you're-
maybe?
If you're Plano to lose by 1 to Plano West.
Oh, Plano to lose to Plano West.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that one definitely for sure. But moving on to our next game, it happens to be Frisco and the
We have
Raccoons
expectations.
and Frisco Reedy.
Oh, what a
going
game.
over the Ford Center. We've got a 4th and 1 for Frisco. And they just converted on 4th and 1 to keep the ball. There you see down at the bottom, the time left in that ball game, underneath 2:20 to play. Now Frisco down by 3, first lead of the game for Reedy after they were down early in that one, and it looked sloppy early for the Lions. But
Yeah, it did.
now we've got ourselves a ball game. That Frisco Reedy defense, though, in need of a big-time stop
And
out of
they've
the
been
wing
getting
tee.
them all half long. Reedy's defense has been outstanding, but
Yeah.
for Frisco, they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot here this half. Let's see if they can find a way to dig out of this hole and come away with a victory.
I'm not sure what Frisco's kicking situation is like, if they feel confident in their kicker.
But we
I'm
know it's
sure-
not Will Harbor. I doubt his calves are as strong.
Yeah.
No, there's definitely no Will Harbor. I don't think there's a Caden Davis out there in blue. So I do wonder, because they're only down 3. If field goal ties it, send it to overtime. How close does Frisco need to go to feel good about it? You got to think, what,
Jake
maybe
Gaster.
30 yards?
Jake Gaster is their kicker. Yeah, I'd say I'd want to keep it within 35.
Yeah.
At least before the try in order to do so. Yeah, I mean, if that's all you
There's
got,
this guy.
You go up
got
to
it.
your man Crowley, and this Crowley's been.
That's not
really-
Lowry?
I thought it was Lowry.
Is it Lowry?
You called
It's
Lowry.
Lowry?
What'd you
Lowry.
call him?
Chase Lowry.
Yeah.
Lowry, Crowley, Lowry.
He said Crowley.
Give the man
Lowry?
some credit.
They've been throwing that
Show
up to
that
him
man
all
some
game
love.
long, and he came down with a huge catch there. This game's outstanding.
The fact that he hasn't necessarily blown up yet in the recruiting search kind of amazes me. He's gotten looks from guys like Iowa State and Duke. I'm not sure exactly where his offers stand right now, but last time
Touchdown.
I checked, it wasn't a lot.
Wow,
And there
there
you
it
go,
is.
far side.
But guys, they may have left too much time on the clock.
They might have. Jalen Kitten has had a really nice fourth quarter.
Well, this extra point's going to matter quite a bit. You get it up 4. He's got 105. Mr. Kitten to go get 6. That's what he's going to need. And it looks like they got 2 timeouts. Yeah, 2 timeouts left for Reedy.
Oh, a little bit of
he's
attitude
a little fired
there.
up.
A little
fired
attitude.
up right
Let's
there.
throw my helmet, coach.
Holy jeez, what a
Bryson
game this has
Clemens.
been.
This is, I mean, overall, this game, it started off detrimental, and it looked like Frisco was going to run away
Extra
with it.
point is up, and it missed.
Oh, no, it
Oh,
wasn't.
he made- oh, my God, that was a
did not look
knuckleball.
good.
It looked
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah, that was
it
a
was
duck.
not a pretty looking kick, but hey, it got in
I
there.
thought he missed that.
Guys, Chase Lowry, 8 catches, $121 and a
Chase
touchdown.
Lowry.
Lowry.
thought it was
And
Crowley.
he's also had a pretty nice punt return as well that
Yeah.
we saw. We thought he was going to score on it.
Yeah, that's right.
Just missed the angle.
And
but
he's their starting safety. I mean, he's sort of Mr. Do-It-All for
Crazy,
them.
man.
Not Miles Price,
a
but
big safety,
but
too,
come
on
from
that
the same
back
club.
Well, I think he
Yeah,
plays a
is.
little corner, too.
A little
I think
corner
he
and
does.
safety.
I think he moves
actually,
around.
I think he does it
match him
actually
up
at the
wherever
same
you
time.
got an athlete like
I don't know if
that.
he does it
I
at the
think
same
from
time.
time to time he's their corner and safety on the same play.
They've
Corner
cloned him.
safety.
They're
And they've never
cloning
been
him.
scored on in that defense. So.
By the way, Birdville with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter leads R.L. Turner 74-0. Wow. Just thought I'd
We
let
kind of
that
stopped
one go.
talking about Birdville here, therefore, because they got off to such a disappointing start.
yeah.
But they also just haven't had a matchup yet that's been really like, oh, yeah, this is it.
Yeah, like Plano versus Plano West, right?
They haven't played a rivalry game yet. Birdville's just into their district slate.
And we'll go back to that Frisco Reedy game here in just a moment.
You know, you
Of
win
course,
7 state championships. We'll talk about
Man,
you.
talk about it. Come on. This guy works my nerves.
With 105 left in the game, you guys are just all over the place tonight. 105 left in the game. Here's Frisco Reedy, an opportunity to try and come back and score here with, like I said, just over 60 seconds here. The special teams have been good for Frisco tonight, no doubt about it. Even when we were watching, they swarmed to the football quite a bit. So let's see what kind of return is on the tap here for Frisco Reedy.
How is Will Harbor not taking the kickback?
It looked like they were
Reedy.
thinking about a reverse there.
Look at this guy.
There's the swarm.
Don't take a
Raccoons
knee
have
or
been good.
anything. Go get you 12.
Well, I don't know. That was borderline.
Yeah,
to
they
where it
gotta
looked
get
like-
timeouts.
They got to get. They have a lot of yardage to make up here. I mean, they got to get a touchdown to win this game. So Jalen Kitna has a lot of pressure on his back. No timeouts left in this for.
Well, no, I think they got 2. I think
They
they
got
got 2.
Okay, yeah. So all they got to do is little bits at a time to try and get down here and get a score. It's
You know,
going to be tough. though.
While this is happening, just to talk about your Birdville update, Kyle, Stone Earl had 6 touchdowns through the air tonight.
Yikes.
He only threw the ball 9 times. He had 7 completions.
Oh, my God.
6 of his 7
my
completions
God.
were
Wow.
touchdowns.
Oh, my goodness.
Talk
What did
about
Ladarius
can't
Mixon
lose.
do?
Where's
My
Parker
Lord.
Lewis?
Yeah, talk about efficiency.
That's pretty impressive.
Goodness
Oh,
gracious.
And Ladarius Mixon, I don't know if he's injured, but I don't think he played tonight. He's
today.
not on the stat sheet.
Had
so.
to be injured.
They didn't need him.
looking at some of the stat lines for Frisco Reedy in this ball game, over 439 yards of total offense,
Whoa.
24 first downs against the Frisco defense. That's been pretty good this year. They haven't necessarily been just outstanding. I mean, they held Woodrow Wilson, which is kind of lesser competition, to 17 points. They held Denton Braswell to 28, and the same thing for Frisco Lebanon Trail.
But you run the ball on the first play. What is the thought process there?
I don't know if there was much thinking going on.
Is Scott
at
Linehan
that
the new
point.
offensive coordinator for Frisco Reedy?
Thought process.
This feels like what did we see? Freddie Kitchens and the Brown do a draw on 4th and 9.
Yeah.
Oh God, that
They
was so
felt more
disgusting.
comfortable with Nick Chubb.
Jalen Kitna,
That
Jalen
was
Kitna, by the
disgusting.
way, 13
it was
for
bad.
22 now with 222 yards, no touchdowns thrown, and an interception. There's Kitna there wearing number 11, back behind the line of scrimmage. He's had a pretty good night so far, completing over 60% of his passes.
Had a really nice deep ball early on in that game. Didn't go for a touchdown, but his receiver had a nice stretch out dive
Nice
catch.
dive.
And I think we got a nice highlight of that we'll get to probably later in the show. But hey, Walter, what do you think? Crowley gets a game-winning interception right here?
It's very possible.
That would be
Your
interesting.
guy?
He's
Third-
out there, right there, bottom of the screen.
Yep. Playing
Can we
corner
get some-
and safety.
Can we get some kind of pass rush?
Oh, they
here?
threw it at him.
Oh, come on, that was
Oh,
out of
nice
bounds.
grab.
Are you serious, ref?
It was off the screen, Heckma. Give him a break.
Come on, man. I think you got a little home cooking going on
He's
here.
in the building.
No, I mean,
I did pick Reedy.
Yeah, he picked Reedy.
Oh, it's a little home cooking. Goodness gracious.
Oh. Yeah, so it is a first down for Reedy, and he was out of bounds, so the clock continues to stay still. 31 seconds left. This is going to be interesting. Kitna, his top receiving target tonight has definitely been Josh Hernandez. 5 receptions, 105 yards. He was the one that reeled in that long pass earlier. Here's the pass protection breaking down. Uh-oh. That's not going to help Reedy out a whole lot. Big-time sack. Timeout called, 23 seconds left.
Yep, that's probably going to do it right there for Frisco. You cannot afford to take a sack on a play like that. You burn one of your timeouts, you waste about 8 seconds, and now you're all the way backed up. This is Hail Mary. Do you guys like the Hail Mary, or do you like the hook and lateral? Let's go for the pitch game and see if we can make something of it.
Oh,
or
it
do you like
depends
to
on the
draw?
quarterback.
Or do you like to pass? That's fair. Or do you like to draw the pass interference on the Hail Mary?
Well, it
The
depends
one
on
in a
where
million.
you are on the field. You know, in this situation, it's going to be hard for Jalen Kitna to chunk it up to the end zone.
Oh
so
no,
you
I saw him
probably
throw
go-
a bomb earlier.
But you got to
He's
think
got
about
it.
it
seven
Do you know who
also.
his dad is? Do you know who
That's
his dad
fair.
is?
He's got the family
But
genes.
the thing
Goodness.
about it is it's not a spot foul in high school. It's just 10
Yeah,
yards.
it's, I think it's
gotcha.
15.
Is
So
it?
it's,
I
yeah,
think
that's
it's
15.
So
that
makes the
becomes
difference.
not worth it. And we saw, didn't we see? Wasn't it the Colony last year against Frisco?
Yeah, hook and
Lone
ladder.
Star with the hook and ladder
Yes.
victory, last play of the game situation.
I would be sick if that happened.
Oh,
That would
so
be
would I.
impressive.
Yeomans would just
Oh, I would come out of my seat.
Yeah, where we
in
are.
your clothes. I bet. Just going nuts.
Unbelievable. Don't Dude, don't speak that into existence.
4 wideouts for Kitna, 2 on each side, 3-step drop. He's looking up over the middle, just getting a completion to get it a little bit closer. And if you can dink and dunk your way down the field like that, it might help you out. But it does bring up 3rd down now here for Reedy. 18 seconds left on the clock.
Love the stick by Lowry there.
And there is Lowry.
It's Crowley.
It is not Crowley. It is Chase Lowry. It's Bishop
We're calling
Dunn.
him Crowley. Chase Lowry. It's a Crowley.
Isn't Crowley a school?
It's a city.
Crowley
as a
is
matter
a
of
It's a
fact.
city. Okay.
Past Fort Worth, it's a hall. Used to work out there. Not fun.
3rd and 3 now for Kitna and the
Ask him why he
Lions.
doesn't anymore.
Well, it was super, super far. And minimum wage.
Here we go. This might be one of the final plays of the ball game. I like the motion here from Frisco Reedy.
Yeah, let's fill them on a screen
That
here.
was just a disgusting play.
Really like. Was that
Well, no.
worse? Was that worse than the
You get the first down.
The first and 10 backed up.
You get
in
a
your
little
own
bit closer.
7-yard line handoff when you're down a touchdown.
I'm
with
ready
a
to
minute
just
left.
chunk it with Jalen Kitna's, rocket cannon of an arm. Let's chunk it to the end.
Well, you were the
zone.
one that was doubting his arm not 30 seconds ago.
No,
all
well,
right?
you said you saw him through it like 80 yards in the air. So let's,
So you're
let's
buying?
go.
You're buying what I'm selling?
I'm buying what you're selling. If you say so, let's do it.
Here's what's going to happen. Jalen Kitten is going to throw it however many yards he needs.
Who's going to be the Drew Pearson to catch this?
Crowley? Interception.
Josh Hernandez. it's
Bank
Chase,
on it.
Chase Lowry. Stop
did I say?
combining
No,
the
it's
two
become
names.
a bit, Kyle. Have a sense of humor.
All right, here we go.
The man deserves some
Crowley.
respect.
Oh,
Ooh.
and almost intercepted, but he's got another down.
You can tell he's got that arm, though. You can tell.
That one looked a little wonky to me. I think the hook and ladder is what we're drawing up here, folks.
Let's go back to that hook and ladder idea, boys.
No, 80 yards in the air.
Are we
Come
sure
on.
that's Kitten out there?
I just want Will Harbor, Wildcat. Let's go.
Yeah, I want Will Harbor game-losing field goal because they're down by 4, but he still makes it.
For how long would that kick be?
It's a
He'd
it would
make
be
history.
long. It would be long. He's gonna go
Be
break a
Caden
record.
Davis
They're just
range.
they're gonna take the loss, but Will gets his field goal made, and they walk out of there with their head held high, losing by a point.
Well, here we go. 8 seconds left. Reedy potentially with a final play of the ball game.
Oh,
Good
wow.
sack.
Look at
Good
that
jump.
Robert
Oh, he got
Quinn
out of
like
it.
get
Oh,
off.
What in the world? He was just throwing it away to
Throwing it away.
That's a heady
another
play.
day.
It's a heady
Live
play.
for another day.
2 seconds left. So that's not
Don't
a
look at me
bad
like
play.
that.
Right where they want to be.
You
fellas.
get your eyeballs off me.
Kyle, you're in
can't
good
help
shape. Your pick's in good hands, Kyle.
I don't know about that. I don't know if my pick's in good hands. So they're going to take a timeout. So are we.
Yeah, let's gather ourselves here, fellas. Draw something up and go for
Now-
the gusto.
I'm just sick to my stomach.
Nine receptions for
Fellas,
Chase
where's
Lowry.
the post-game meal at? What are we looking at here?
That's sushi always.
Sweet and spicy bacon burger.
That's what I'm going with.
Yeah. Well, it could be. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The honey butter chicken biscuit. It's not 11 o'clock though yet. It's 9 receptions, 154 yards, and a touchdown for Chase Lowry tonight. No, it's not Crowley. It's not Crowley. I promise you.
I'm sorry, Chase Lowry.
I got to be honest with you. I'm all for Reedy right now, running Will Harbor and his amazing Cavs out there and just letting them break a record and just go home with the loss because
I
you know
just
you're going
want
to lose.
our Friday Night Stars fans to be able to check out those Cavs.
Yeah. If not for nothing, at least put Harbor back on the screen.
Are they that impressive?
Yes.
If
See,
we
I
can get
haven't
them
seen
melt,
these
and
either.
it's both
so
wrong.
I'm-
Not just one or the other.
They're impressive.
I don't pay attention to the Cavs. Like
I don't know how you can miss
Hey,
out
that's
on
on
them.
you, brother.
They're just
That's on
staring
you.
you right in the face.
All right, 2 seconds to go.
Oh, they got 4 receivers to the right side
Oh,
for
a little
Kitna.
quad set.
No extra protection in the background.
No Harbor on the field.
Uh-oh, the pressure might be enough. Long throw down the sideline. And
Crowley!
it is almost
Crowley
picked off.
Oh, no, he drops it.
That's
he
not
drops
Crowley,
it. It
though.
wasn't Crowley anyways.
Either way,
that
Frisco
was fantastic.
survives
That was
5
Hey,
and
congrats,
0
Kyle.
for the Frisco Raccoons. And I'm the only one that gets the pick wrong today. 35-31, despite being
Hey, it's
outgained
close.
by
That's how I
almost
felt last
2
week, bud. So welcome.
Yeah, thanks. 230 yards almost outgained.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh man.
Man,
Got it.
you're ridiculous.
Come
the
on,
3
man.
turnovers for Frisco Reedy, really the difference in this one.
He is hot for real.
We're going to take a break here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
You guys need a break. Frisco holds on. They're now 5-0. The Raccoons taking an impressive lead inside District
Let's go,
7,
Plano.
5A. When we come back,
They
we're
just
gonna-
got a fumble. They got the football at midfield. Let's go win it.
Here we go, Wes.
Can I go through an entire outro without you yelling?
No.
Fine. We'll be back here in a moment on Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
Love you.
Hi there, this is Dak Prescott. When it comes time to shop for my tailgate favorites, I go to my stores, Albertsons and Tom Thumb, where they offer fresh organics and large assortments of local produce and sell only USDA choice meats. Get 10% off of your groceries every Dallas Cowboy game day when you wear your Cowboy jerseys. Albertsons and Tom Thumb, the winning combination and the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys.
Gear up for back to sport at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Ashley Home Store, the #1 furniture and mattress store in America. We have all the major mattress brands at a guaranteed low price. Plus, we have furniture for every room in the house and decorator accessories to make it yours. With multiple locations, personalized service from knowledgeable associates, and convenient finance plans to fit your budget. Ashley Home Store, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys. This is home.
I mean, if you haven't thought about switching to Geico, frankly, you're missing out. The mobile app makes it easy to manage your policy, even way out here.
Your marshmallows.
Get digital ID cards, emergency roadside service, even follow. Whoa. Oops. That cheeky little thing got away from me. My bad.
Geico. It's easy to manage your policy whenever, wherever.
Can I trouble you for another marshmallow?
Get excited, Whataburger fans. Our one-of-a-kind mushroom Swiss burger is back.
And now it's an all-time favorite.
If you love mushrooms, you're going to love this burger.
The double cheese, the mushrooms was absolutely amazing.
It's a really good balance between the mushrooms and the Swiss. And that au jus sauce on top.
The creamy au jus sauce.
It really complements the mushrooms. Everything just works perfectly together.
It's just perfect. Every bite's perfect.
It's not just a mushroom Swiss burger, it's a Whataburger mushroom Swiss.
Back here from the beautiful Star in Frisco, Texas. Glad you're with us here during Week 5 of the Texas high school football season. Whataburger Friday Night Stars rolls on here from Frisco. It's been a fun weekend so far. Plenty of action throughout the area. We continue to go down our list of ball games, and then going into hour number 2, we're going to talk about some Friday finals. Let's talk about that Keller squad. Early in the ball game, looked like they were going to keep up with Southlake Carroll. It was 14-14 at one point in that one. Southlake Carroll, of course, a stout team to kind of keep up with for 4 quarters, and they showed that early in the back end of the second quarter as they have now rattled off a number of unanswered points, and they lead this one pretty handily over the Keller Indians.
Quinn Ewers, very impressive, 21 of 24, 256 yards, 4 touchdowns. And I think the story of it, we love Enoch Nchobo on this show for the Keller Indians. He's one of our favorite running backs in the DFW area. He was held in check, only 12 carries, 20 yards. That Southlake defense, we highlighted them in the open there. They came to play. It looked a little bit rough early. They gave up 14 points there, and this game was tick for tack. But that second half, Southlake Carroll in the locker room, they made the necessary adjustments. Their offense took over, and defensively, they have absolutely smothered the Indians' attack. Hayden Anderson, 2 interceptions. I think both of them coming in that second half.
And like we talked about in the pregame, they've been doing all of this early success in the season without R.J. Mickens, who's really their best player. Right, he's going to Clemson, and he plays on both sides of the ball, receiver, safety, and they've done it without him. He's been banged up. So the fact that they've done that, and like you said, their defense has gotten so much better. Ewers has gotten better week in, week out. He's highly touted. We know the standard for this guy has been set, and he's gotten better and better each week. And he's only a sophomore, so Southlake's in good hands for the next couple of years. And now we look ahead to next week at Guyer, Holy smokes, that's going to be probably the game of the week next week. I don't know if there's another one on the slate that even compares, but Guy or Southlake next week. And we know last year that game was incredible at Dragon Stadium, went down to the wire.
Took that trick play.
Yeah, it was a trick play for Southlake in order to beat Geyer. And this is a Geyer team that is 100 times better than what they were last year.
Much better. And not being on the road. Last year that was a tough road game for Eli Stowers, one of his first big road district games.
Did they have Cobb at that point last year?
Yes, they did.
I couldn't remember if he was back or not at that point.
And the thing is to talk about Eli Stower in that game. Couple of turnovers. He played like a young guy, but I think he's atoning for all of that this year. But also I want to bring back to for the Dragons just the job that their Dodge is doing, developing those guys, putting his staple or his stamp on that team, and they look to be rolling. They rolled into the playoffs and came up against a tough Duncanville team, and so they remember that. They're looking to make amends for that loss here at the Star last year, where Duncanville out physicaled them. You see them taking a little bit of a sample of that and coming in and being more physical as well this year.
And it's always tough to replace a star like McDaniel from last year.
Who is also balling.
He's doing great as a true freshman at SMU, but that was really their offense. I know Will Bowers was awesome as well, but Cade Wood tonight, 89 yards, a couple of scores on the ground. Their running game is really coming along now as we start getting a little more deeper and deeper into the season.
I mean, it's interesting to look up. Why do you guys always make fun of
We love you.
Thank you. Anyways,
so sensitive. We need to stop.
Southlake, Denton Geyer next week. I know we've talked about it already.
Should we pick it now?
No, we should not pick it now. We need a week to prep. Is that?
I know where I'm going.
Is that an automatic look at who could potentially be in the state semis or state quarters? Whoever wins that matchup has pretty much a solid path to get to that point, correct?
Yes.
I would lean yes, yeah.
Yeah?
I would lean yes.
I think that's
I like both those teams.
Yeah, I think that's going to be about as good of a matchup as we're going to get in the regular season. We've had a really good one tonight in Flower Mound. Louisville on the road as the Fighting Farmers take on the Jaguars in a big-time 6A rivalry game. This one's gone back and forth throughout the course of it, and Louisville continues to kind of lead that ball game, but Flower Mound's sticking around, guys.
Yeah, in the second half, so far in the third quarter, no team has scored. So it's been the same score since the half, 23-20 for Louisville. And like you said, it's been back and forth all game. And coming into this one, we saw the Flower Mound defense had given up over 400 yards per game, and so far they've given up under 300 through about three quarters. That's pretty big time right there. And Louisville's offense has been putting up over 400 yards a game, putting up 43 points per game. So this has been a really good outing for Flower Mound and that defense that hasn't been phenomenal through three games. And so seeing them step up tonight in a big way is very, very good. Now, don't get me wrong, Louisville's still ahead in this game, but there's a long way to go. The two turnovers for Flower Mound right now really biting them.
And a safety. I think they got called for holding in the end zone.
Gotcha.
And that's what's given Louisville the lead.
Yeah, the Flower Mound is the one team in a close game like this that I'm really scared of, especially with their big play ability from short. So obviously for Louisville, they're going to put up some points.
Yeah, we knew Flower Mound had the game breakers on their side, but Damian Martinez has had a whale of a football game for Louisville. He's got 3 touchdowns, two rushing, 1 receiving. He's really put the Fighting Farmers on his back offensively. But yeah, those turnovers, as you mentioned, Eric, that's been a killer for Flower Mound, but still a 3-point game. This one's hanging in the balance in the fourth quarter. Both these teams, we thought, hey, two best teams in this district, going at it to open district play. This is what it's all about. This one's going to be fun and go down to the wire.
And that Louisville defense has been stifling against the rushing attack of Flower Mound. We talk about Pierce Hudgens and how phenomenal he
30
is.
yards.
He's been a little bit underwhelming this year, and he's only got 30 yards, like you mentioned, Heckma. And let's see what the total. They've only given up 15 rushing yards.
Good God.
I mean, that's pretty incredible right there for Louisville. And we know they pack a great defense. We know that. But to see them do that against a guy like Pierce Hudgens is pretty impressive.
First time that an opponent has scored 20 points on Louisville this season. The previous high was 16. McKinney Boyd put up 16 points last time out for Louisville. So, like you said, kind of a back-and-forth game. It's turned into a bit of a stalemate in that third quarter. Neither team really having field position nor getting on the board at all during that third period. But at the same time, this is a game where I think the fourth quarter I just have a feeling this is going to be one of those games that comes down to a final possession and really, really could end up being a classic game that we think about going back to like last year's Denton Geyer Southlake game, the Saxe Coppell game from week 1 last year. I feel like it's going to be one of those classic games, has a rivalry feel to it. I'm sure it's a packed crowd and an impressive house there for Flower Mound, but I have a feeling that one's going to go down to the wire in 6A. Going back to 5A, Little Elm on the road against Lone Star. And we talked earlier about could Little Elm keep it close against the number 1 Rangers? And, well, the Lone Star Rangers kind of put that to rest. Little Elm looks good running out of the Lobo, but the Rangers just got off to a quick start. 3 interceptions in the first quarter, forcing turnovers, and they were able to capitalize on the offensive side.
Marvin Mims also with a punt return for a touchdown, 59-yard punt return. What doesn't this kid do? This guy's incredible, and we talked about it. This was the game that you said they have a corner, right? This was
Ryan Watts.
Ryan Watts. So I do want to look and see.
They held him to 3 catches, 69 yards, and a touchdown.
Okay,
so he still found the end zone.
That's still found the end zone.
But that's a relative pedestrian stat line for Marvin Mims.
And then he also added the 59-yard punt return for a touchdown as well. Yep. So he affected the game, even though only 3 catches. They were obviously big plays. The touchdown through the air, and then the punt return for a touchdown, and 3 interceptions to start the game for Lone Star's defense. This defense is the real deal, and they showed it against Highland Park. Obviously, playing a team like this tonight for Frisco Lone Star against Little Elm, not obviously what it is when your defense dominates a guy like Chandler Morris and that Highland Park Scotty's offense, but still, holy smokes, basically your first 3 defensive possessions end in a interception. That's incredible.
Well, the one thing about Lone Star that I think that a lot of teams are looking for is Marvin Mims to go off. Rangel's doing his thing in the air. But today they unveiled Jake Bogdan. Jake Bogdan got invited to the party. He goes for 153 and 2 touchdowns today. So that's showing that balance and showing that they can do it in the air and on the ground. And any defense is going to love a good running game. That's going to support that, and hence the score, 56-13.
And 5 turnovers. That Lone Star forced.
3 came in the first quarter.
Yeah,
it was
3
just
interceptions.
Pick for Frisco Lone Star.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah, and 105 yards total of offense. I mean, that defense.
4 first downs.
We thought that defense for Lone Star was good last year.
No,
they're better this year.
Oops, they might be quite a bit better this year.
And they got a quarterback.
Yeah, you're darn right. They do have a quarterback, and they can utilize that as well. Moving forward to Denton Braswell and Lovejoy. I mean, looking at
maybe the game of the night.
Yeah, Denton Braswell up in the third quarter, 30-14. Originally, Lovejoy fought their way back. A 55-yard run with 27 seconds left in the third. Tyler Loop with a 49-yard field goal. Harper Poole with a 27-yard pass. Luke Mayfield with a 33-yard reception. And then Denton Braswell, actually Lovejoy took the lead 37-30, by the way. And then Cameron Lara with a 2-yard run to tie it back up at 37. This one looks like it may be headed for overtime.
Yeah, just 21 seconds left. And Grayson Thompson, I talked about him entering this one, the quarterback for Braswell. He's a stud. 370 yards today, 3 touchdowns, did have that 1 pick. On the other side, R.W. Rucker is a baller for Lovejoy as well. Way to bring his team back into the game. 4 scoring drives back-to-back-to-back, 3 out of the 4 getting into the end zone from the end of the third quarter all the way to the fourth to bring the Leopards back into this game. Rucker, 3 touchdowns through the air, no picks. He's got 204 passing. He also has a $163 on the ground with 2 touchdowns. So 5 total scores for R.W. Rucker. That's a guy we need to start giving a little bit more praise to in terms of the dual threat quarterbacks in the area.
Talk about needing an IV at the end of the game. Rucker is going to be that guy. I mean, right now, 367 yards total offense for Lovejoy. He's done it all. But Braswell is that team. You've talked about them and all the returning guys that they have.
Up and coming, yeah.
Yeah, so this is a program that a lot of people were not looking for to be as good as they are. So that's representative of what the score is right now.
And 2 really good receiving performances. Cam Smith, who's the leading receiver for Braswell, 8 catches, 181 yards, and 2 scores. And then Luke Mayfield for Lovejoy. He's been the number 1 target for R.W. Rucker. 12 catches, 105 yards, and a couple of touches for him as well.
Yeah, you look at overall Denton Braswell, a team that, like we talked about, has some opportunities to make some noise in that district. A win over Lovejoy would go a long way.
It might be their biggest win in program history if they can get it done tonight. If they can get it done tonight.
Well, they might have to do it in a little extra OT coming up here in a little bit. But looking at Allen and McKinney, this was a game early on as well. Allen actually trailed McKinney with 6 minutes left in the second quarter. 14-13 was the score there. However, before the halftime break, the Allen Eagles rattled off a couple of scores, and then they kind of tacked on 3 more touchdowns over the course of the third quarter into the fourth quarter, and then lead this one pretty handily, 49-21. We knew it was going to be a matter of time before Allen potentially picked it back up, but you see the penalties there for Terry Gamble's squad with the Allen Eagles. That's not necessarily characteristic of what Allen does, but still the talent shining through, and Allen continues to dominate.
Yeah, and they got it done on the ground. Johnson, one of their plethora of running backs. Manning, not even a huge factor on the ground tonight. 106 yards, 3 touchdowns for him. Raylan Sharp, 264 yards and a touchdown through the air. But we were impressed. McKinney hung with them in that first half and the second half. All Allen, like they do to so many teams. But for McKinney, now you look ahead at making a run the rest of your way in district play. You got the 2 Goliaths within your district out of the way. You opened up with the heavy slate. You lost to Prosper. You lost to Allen. Now it's time for you to go ahead and beat up on the lesser teams, if you want to phrase them like that, within your district. When it comes to Boyd, Jesuit will be a tough game. Plano West, Plano East, Plano. Those are all very winnable games for McKinney down the stretch if they want to make it into the playoffs for the second year in a row.
Well, McKinney's going to have a tough go, but Allen is – it's really amazing how when they start off a game and they're losing to anyone, it seems like the Twitter's buzzing.
Oh my God, Allen?
Allen's losing?
Allen, I mean, no one can believe it, and they've shown this sense of mortality that I don't think that we're used to. Coming into the season with all the questions with that after losing the quarterback and star receiver. But I think they're doing it. They're starting to prove themselves. They're starting to get that their confidence as the Allen Eagles that you would expect. They're just allowing too many points at this point, so it looks as though they are vulnerable. But 49-21, I mean, it's it's not indicative of what the actual game has looked like.
Yeah,
the whole way.
they've got some holes in that secondary. If they go up against a team that can throw the ball, and Zarco had a really good first half. I think he was 19 of 26 at halftime for McKinney. That secondary seems like it's a little bit suspect, and we know if Raylan Sharp goes down, they're in some trouble.
They got a guy back up that can do it.
Walchuk's guy. Canigula.
There you go.
No words. All right.
Just kind of sat there.
Yep.
That's okay. We're going to get plenty of time to talk about Wolchuk's Plano Wildcats, but we're going to take a quick break.
They don't deserve to be mentioned the rest of the show.
Actually,
you might be.
They're going to win the game, but we don't need to talk about them.
Well, we're going to talk about it whenever we take a break, or after we take a break here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. When we come back, more of Week 5 in the action here from the Star in Frisco.
Hey, I'm Jack. We started SeatGeek because we want fans to have a better, more transparent ticket buying experience. With SeatGeek, you can see the best deals and buy tickets, all with a price match guarantee. The only thing we can't guarantee is that your team will win. So use the code TICKETS20 at checkout for $20 off your first order.
Get excited, Whataburger fans. Our one-of-a-kind mushroom Swiss burger is back.
And now it's an all-time favorite.
If you love mushrooms, you're gonna love this burger.
The double cheese, the mushrooms was absolutely amazing.
It's a really good balance between the mushrooms and the Swiss, and that au jus sauce on top.
The creamy au jus sauce.
It really complements the mushrooms. Everything just works perfectly together.
It's just perfect. Every bite's perfect.
It's not just a mushroom Swiss burger, it's a Whataburger mushroom Swiss burger.
It's in all of us, and we won't hold it back. Not one little bit. Nope, we embrace it, letting it fuel our passions, pushing us deeper than we thought possible and keeping us curious. It's what sets us apart from the herd. It's how we come up with the ideas that make people say, why didn't I think of that? See, when you nurture the creativity and passion that's in all of us, you'll learn nothing is out of reach.
It's game day. A day that should be spent in the living room, not the kitchen. So next game, you just worry about the score, because we've got the food covered. With hand-battered, cooked-to-order, always fresh, never, ever frozen chicken fingers, craveable cane sauce, crispy crinkle-cut fries, and jugs of freshly made tea and lemonade. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love.
Go Cowboys!
I won it.
I can't believe it. That car brought his karaoke machine.
Nothing but a heartache.
No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico.
Tell me why.
Go, Kevin. Go, Kevin. No.
Believe it, Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Home of the Dallas Cowboys, the headquarters of the 5-time world champions here at the Star in Frisco. Kyle Yeomans, Eric Chiafalo, Heckma Harrison, and Zach Wolchuk joining you for
a fired up Zach
Wolchuk.
His Plano Wildcats defeated Plano West tonight, ladies and gentlemen. What a good night it is to be a Wolchuk.
Guys, not yet.
Pulling away.
Uh-oh.
No,
they're not pulling away.
What happened?
Maybe not.
Oh, no! Plano West touchdown scored. It's back to a 5-point game.
3:20 left.
Yep, 3:19 left.
Hey, Chris,
26-21.
save the dance moves, please.
Oh, it's not over yet.
What are we doing?
It's not over
What
yet.
are we doing?
They're an onside kick away.
Hey, you guys only had 3 turnovers tonight, man.
Compared to the
Only
4.
3? I thought there were 5.
I got a name for you. Andrew Pico.
Pico de Gallo.
No, it's 2 C's.
We spent too much time together.
I think it's Picho.
I was.
The double C is usually the ch sound. Just
You
so
know
you
what?
guys
He is
know.
Italian. That
You
might,
are
yeah,
Chicago,
might be right.
Maybe I know.
You've got
Maybe
a
I know what I'm
couple
talking
C's
about.
Yeah, why don't
here.
you just laugh at him some more, Heckma?
Yeah.
Gosh, you really know how to put us down, man.
Yeah,
Guys,
when I'm drowning.
before
Thanks,
we really
Dad.
rattle on into the second hour, I do have a sponsorship read I have to go through here first. So
Gotcha.
Let's
We'll
do
be
it.
quiet.
For nearly 60 years, North Dallas Bank and Trust Company has been dedicated to helping Texans like you meet their financial goals with full-service banking centers in North Dallas, Irving, Plano, and Frisco. North Dallas Bank aims to provide banking for smarter choices in business and in life. For more information, you can go online. It's at ndbt.com. North Dallas Bank and Trust Company is member FDIC. So, moving now into our second hour here of Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
He's a
Plano
professional, man. He's a professional, man.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
was incredible.
Plano West, right back in the ball game here. Third, like Eric said a moment ago,
Plano I think got the
put up-
onside kick.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Which Plano?
They've got the ball. It's 1st and 15, and they just got penalized 5 yards.
Well, depending on how many timeouts are left,
direction.
There's time left for Plano
No, there's
West
plenty of time
to get the football back.
There's too much time. This is getting scary. Let's come back to this game. Let's keep on moving.
We'll move. That's a good idea. We're going to move past that. We're going to continue looking through some of these, and then we'll circle back around and go through some of the Friday
Fair
finals, hitting a couple along the way. We'll stick with 9-6A, though. Plano East on the road against Prosper. Prosper just unloads on Plano East in this one, 42-0. My goodness. First shutout, by the way, for Prosper since 2017.
Yeah,
Brian Sutcliffe tweeted that out a moment ago.
Well, Brian Sutcliffe's our guy, and Jackson Berry, again, holding it down, 235 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Is you were right, Prosper, 42 spot up on Plano East, and their defense shut down Trey Scott Jones. Only 58 yards on the ground for Trey Scott Jones. You want to beat Plano East? That's the key. You unload to stop the run game, and they did so. The Prosper Eagles, again, a shutout. They are looking, we've talked a lot about Geyer and South Lake Carroll and Allen. Prosper is looked every bit as dominant as any of these teams we've talked about in 6A up to this point of the season.
Yeah, it's a shame we have to wait so long to get that Allen matchup.
I mean, you're not wrong.
It'll be. I think it's November. It might be the second to last week
Is
of the
it
year.
Really?
Well, let me look for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's a.
I think it's November 2nd.
It's not an
literally
October.
November
November
2nd.
2nd
I circled the date
No,
on my
he
calendar
really
months
didn't.
ago.
As you should.
And he fat-headed it, too.
Well, and
He's
at
got
the same time.
Jacksonberry fat-headed. It says, I want Allen November 2nd.
Well, and one of the reasons that Prosper has been so dominant, and one of the big things that stood out
It's
has
November
been
1st.
It's November. Oh, you circled the wrong date.
I felt
You
so
circled
good
the wrong
about
So
date.
that's a Saturday. I hope you got big Saturday.
Yeah, I was about to say, I
plans.
thought it was a Saturday game.
Well, here's the thing. One of the reasons why Prosper has been so dominant and what we've talked about has been Jackson Berry and that offensive attack. The defense showed that they need some attention, too. Holding a Plano East squad like that, I mean, I know Plano East is down this year, but still holding them to just a $110 total and then under 100 yards, both rushing and throwing the football.
It's
pretty impressive.
totaled 99 yards in the first quarter. Plano East did. They had 11
After
yards after the first quarter. The final three quarters, Prosper's defense held them to 11 yards.
And we got a glimpse of that, man. We got a glimpse of that, with Prosper. You know what they can do. I believe that Jackson Berry at this point is putting himself in the realm of those elite quarterbacks in the area.
And he's got the cleanest uniform in the entire
They pride
state.
themselves on this guy not being touched, but he is coming through. I mean, 2 touchdowns today, 235 yards passing. They're doing it in every area. And so I look for Prosper November 1st.
Yes.
Is the date
November 1st.
November 1st.
It's easy to remember. It's
Will
the
that be a
first day of
pick'em game for
And
us?
it's at
If you want it to be, we can
right?
absolutely make it a pick 'em.
It's going to be at Prosper this year.
It will be at Prosper.
Are you going to pick against
that
Allen?
new stadium?
I think we might need to
Allen's first road game in what feels like
take the show
a
on
decade.
the road, baby.
So that's going to be fantastic.
It'd be interesting to do. I just love the studio too.
I do love this studio. It's pretty impressive. So, talking about that game is something that we're going to do over the course of the next, I guess, month.
Yeah, we
and
don't
a
need to
half
talk
now.
about it now. We got plenty of time.
We're going to talk about that plenty of time, like you said. One game that we knew going into it, it was most likely going to be a shootout because of one thing, and it's because McKinney North was in the ball game, a team that is just known for getting in shootouts. Well, they were in another one tonight. No surprise about it. Against Sherman. Sherman got up early in this football game. I think they put up 28 points in really the first quarter and a half, I believe, or was it just the first quarter?
Yeah, no, 21 in the first quarter, 28 through the first
pretty quick in the
quarter
second.
and a half. Yeah.
But just another big time game. But McKinney North turns it around, puts that offense back in the gear, and 570 yards of total offense as they outshoot Sherman.
How'd Dylan do?
Dylan Markowitz, my guy. He finished the night with 330 yards, 68% passing, 4 total touchdowns. 3 of those came through the air, 1 on the ground. He hit J.J. Henry. Emmanuel Fincher, the running back, had an absolutely great game. And coming into today, he had 7 yards per carry, 9 touchdowns, almost 800 yards on the ground. He had a handful of scores today, and he was really the key reason in that second quarter why McKinney North took off. As much as Sherman scored 21 in the first quarter, second quarter was all McKinney North, 25 points. And then that McKinney North defense that we know is susceptible to giving up tons of points through the first 4 weeks of the season, they shut out Sherman in the second half. So they get off to a slow start defensively early in that game and then pitch a shutout in the second half. So maybe that McKinney North defense figured something out. Yeah. Who knows? But
That's got to be their low points total allowed for the year, 28, correct?
Yes, because they've been giving up. Yeah, I would imagine it is because they've been giving up so many stinking points. They gave up 65 to Northwest just a couple of weeks ago, and they've been in shootouts every single game. So if McKinney North can get that defense figured out, which in the second half tonight against Sherman they absolutely did, then this is a team to be reckoned with because Markowitz is he's a senior quarterback. They got Emmanuel Fincher, who's a senior running back, and then the junior wide receiver J.J. Henry. Those are 3 bona fide. That's a trio right there, and Markowitz is easily one of the better quarterbacks, not only in the state, but for sure in the area.
Bars. Just saying, he's spitting it, boy.
Almost as much as your boy Drizzy. Who's your running back? Drizzy.
Drizzy's quarterback.
Drizzy Drake, the quarterback.
That's right. Drake Logan.
Drizzy Drake Logan.
I'm just saying, man, the way you spit that out, I mean, what else do we say after that?
Impressive.
It's nothing.
I love you
I
guys.
like it overall.
Thank you.
Mansfield on the road against South Grand Prairie.
Oh, here
Mansfield,
he is, Drizzy Drake.
Yeah, moving into that game.
Just
Mansfield
saying.
was leading this ball game early on, and this was a Mansfield team that we had a lot of questions about going into it. But South Grand Prairie kind of put it in gear in the second half at the Gopher Warrior Bowl and lead this one 33-21 at the moment, over 400 yards total. Most of it through the air for SGP is once again, the Warriors just running away from Mansfield as they just can't put 4 quarters together right now.
Yeah, my guy, Marcel McDuffie on defense is putting the clamps down.
Marcel McDuffie?
He's a stud.
My guy. And Drizzy Drake, 278 yards passing, 4 touchdowns?
Wow.
Balling. SGP is just one of those sneaker teams, man. They stay in it. They're going to stay in it as long as you let them, and they'll pull away from you.
Yeah, Drake Logan's always got something left in the tank, it seems. Just when you start to count out South Grand Prairie, he says, not so fast, my friends. And here they come, the Warriors, 33-21. Mansfield seemed like they had that game under control for most of that first half. And SGP, so far, pitching a shutout here in quarters 3 through 4. They've got 20 unanswered points. They're playing fantastic here in the second half.
Yeah, the defense playing fantastic. We know about that defense. The athleticism, they gave Southlake a tough time for a little bit. They even did that last year against Southlake. They only gave up 7 first downs and 57 yards through the air. That is pretty incredible stuff right there.
Something to say about SGP and the defense that they have. I don't think that anybody knew that they had this kind of defense, but they are proven that they are to be reckoned with.
No doubt about it. And now they have a quarterback, which is not something they're used to having. Usually it's a defense with a ton of speed and athleticism, and they're stifling.
Not the same.
And now it looks like they got a little bit of complimentary football going down there at SGP.
And I like the fact that Drake Logan's doing it through the air with 4 touchdown passes instead of having to use his legs. I think that means he's got some consistency and some rapport going on with those receivers on the outside. That's great news for SGP.
And overall, that's an SGP squad that we thought about last week, kind of not necessarily. I would probably put them in the sleeper category in that district, and there's not necessarily a chance for them to win the district at least, but another big win there for Mansfield. Over Mansfield for South Grand Prairie. Moving on to Mansfield Lakeridge. And DeSoto staying with 7-6A. And DeSoto is one of the reasons why I don't think South Grand Prairie is going to have a real big opportunity to win that district, because they continue to dominate through 7-6A. And DeSoto debuting the Jordan Uties, and they not only look good, but they played good tonight for the DeSoto Eagles.
Boy, did they. How about Samari Collier, 14 23, 173 yards. But the story is Mr. Brown on the ground. And Heckma, I know that you did some PA for DeSoto and Dunn. I'm not sure how in the world you said his first name.
It's Jason.
It is just Jason? It's just spelled strangely?
Yeah, Jason Brown.
Well, if you want to give him some love, he had almost 300 yards on the ground, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jason Brown. We've talked a lot about Samari Collier and Lawrence Arnold and the receiving core of DeSoto, all the weapons, but Jason Brown took over this game. And all of a sudden, Lakeridge, a team that shocked the world last year, they knocked off DeSoto. They ended up winning co-district championships there of 7-6A. Adrian Hawkins is struggling, and Lakeridge might be in some trouble of possibly missing the playoffs if they can't get this corrected moving forward.
Yeah, Jason Brown is a big part of what they do at DeSoto. They pass to run, basically, because they're airing it out with Samari Collier. But you'd be surprised at how tough that kid is inside the numbers. Number 22, Jason Brown. But, back to business for DeSoto. They are putting it on teams. You're finding that a lot of those teams are scoring in the fourth quarter, getting, garbage time points against them. But that defense is shutting people down.
637 total yards of offense. They've held Lakeridge to just 54 yards rushing. That's a Lakeridge team, especially with a dual-threat quarterback in Adrian Hawkins. They want to get that ground game going. It was not there tonight whatsoever. The DeSoto Eagle defense came to play. You said they wanted to beat them by 60? That's what they told you?
Close, yeah.
That's where they are.
They're trying to put it on them. That's a big win for DeSoto moving forward. The Eagles look like one of those teams. We've got some juggernauts. We've talked about Prosper, DeSoto. These teams are looking mad impressive through the first 5 weeks of the year.
Yeah, Tamron DeRoe, amongst all of the weapons that they have at the receiver position, he's the guy that gets off today, 153 yards, I believe, receiving. But you got to think about all of the weapons that they have over there for the Eagles.
Yeah, you mentioned this a moment ago, Zach. You said there's a legitimate opportunity that Mansfield Lakeridge doesn't make the playoffs. That's crazy to think about. As good as that Lakeridge squad has been over the past decade, really, in Texas high school football.
And let's keep in mind, this is their second year at 6A, which made what they did last year so impressive.
That's
because
true.
They made that jump from 5A to 6A. They end up winning a co-share of the district title with Cedar Hill. So coming into this year, I think a lot of people thought, they graduated Chandler Rogers, but they've just whoever's played quarterback has found a way to put up crazy numbers and made themselves a D1 college athlete. Adrian Hawkins, their defense this year I think is failing them some. They had a very good defensive unit last year. They're giving up a lot of points to everybody. We saw last week, South Grand Prairie had their way with them a little bit again tonight with DeSoto. So I think Mansfield Lakeridge has some holes they need to fix on that defensive side of the football.
Mesquite and Mesquite Horn. This was a rivalry matchup inside 11-6A, a couple 11-6A games to talk about here before we take our next break. But how about Mesquite Horn and the Jags? 28-14, the lead over Mesquite at the time, or at this moment, rather, 437 yards of total offense for the Jags.
Hey, congratulations to you, Kyle.
Thank you.
You might have been the only one. Didn't we all go with the Skeeters? We all went with the Skeeters except for Kyle.
I was pulling for Mesquite. Yeah, I was pulling for that storyline to continue.
Well, we came into this one knowing that Horn had a really, really tough schedule. They were 1-3 coming into the game, but they had a really tough schedule to start things off. And on the flip side, Mesquite had a really soft schedule coming in. They were 4-0. So it was kind of like there was a question coming in. What was, what are these teams really about? This is finally the one matchup where we could kind of see, okay, has Horn just been dominated by these really, really good teams, and has Mesquite just been beating up on these really, really bad teams? And it looks like that's the case. And Horn's without their stud running back, Charles Crawford III, but it doesn't matter because Ben White, who stepped up in a big way last week with over 120 yards on the ground and 3 scores, tonight he does the exact same thing. He has well over 100 yards. He's got 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the quarterback, the dual threat guy, Devazia Gabriel, who led the team in rushing coming into the day, has another great day on the ground, and the rushing attack of Mesquite has been held in check compared to what they've done over the first month of the season or so. Horn has given up, we talked about it coming in, 250 yards a game coming in, and they've given up less than 200 tonight. So that's
Darius Turner, the big disappointment for tonight from Mesquite. And look, we got to give credit to Horn's defense, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Ladarius Turner was one of the backs that we had really been impressed with over the first 4 weeks. 17 carries, just 77 yards on the ground tonight. Hillard McGill, their dual threat quarterback, does have 2 rushing touchdowns, but not being able to get Ladarius Turner going, I'm sure that's been frustrating for the Skeeters tonight.
Yeah, Donovan Payne for Horn, 2 catches, 112 yards. I don't know if that stat is correct, but if that's so, this kid has had 2 life-changing catches today.
Yeah. Cedar Hill. Mesquite Horn has not only run the ball well, but when they've thrown the ball, they've just gotten really big plays. They're 7 for 15 in the passing game, but they're averaging 27 yards per completion. So they're getting chunk plays through the air whenever they do throw it, and then that's coupled with a rushing attack of 250 yards right now.
Damn, he was spot on that one when Kyle was talking about Horn having the tougher schedule. I just thought that Skeeters would come in here and play much tougher than they did today.
Well, I mean, this game's been close. It's been a one-score game pretty much the whole time. Horn just scored a touchdown to make it a 2-score game, and now they're probably about 2 defensive plays away from wrapping it up if Mesquite can't get a conversion on first down and move the football down the field.
But Horn can start making some noise now because they've been doing it with Ben White at running back, and he's shown that he can be a bell cow for you, and then you're going to get Charles Crawford back, who's the All-State guy from Bishop Lynch last year, and he's averaging 9 yards a carry until he got injured just a couple of weeks ago. It's a mild MCL sprain. He should be back within the next couple of weeks, and now you have a 2-headed monster coupled with Gabriel at quarterback, who has shown that he can make big chunk plays through the air tonight, and then we know what he can do on the ground, and Horn's defense playing much, much better compared to what they have been through the first month of the season. Horn might be able to get it turned around, and it's a lot earlier than what they did last year, where they still finished the season really, really strong. Now they get their first win and their second win. If they get it tonight, their second win early in the season, whereas last year they didn't get their second win until when? November? It felt like. I mean, it felt like it was a long late time. October before they got their second win of the year. So Horn now, it's amazing what a week can do. You come in 1-3, you're feeling down on yourselves, but hey, they've played some really, really tough teams. They go out and beat a Mesquite team tonight. And now you can start getting the ball rolling and feel good about yourself.
And we saw Horn do that last year. I mean, they were 0-7. It didn't stop them. They won their last 3 games to get in as the final spot in district play. I think they might have even won a playoff game last year in the by-district round. So, look, this is a Horn team. They fight. They don't get down on themselves. Big win today if they can hold on over Mesquite, their crosstown rival.
And that's a district where it's highlighted by Rockwall and Longview. And then following those 2 teams, there's not as much depth. I mean, top to bottom, there's a complete disconnect from Rockwall and Longview. Talking about those 2, they played tonight, and there was a big disconnect between those two squads as well. Longview just unbelievable tonight. The defending state champions showing exactly why you should not pick against the Lobos. None of us did.
Especially at home.
But my goodness, 49-3. You thought Rockwall's offense was going to have something for the Lobos, but 171 yards of total offense.
That ended up being a really good over-under for the points. You had 55, right? Didn't you have 55? So it ends up being 52. So it was the under. I would have taken the over on that. And that Longview defense, holy smokes.
You look at one stat on all of this.
What is it? Give it to
rushing? Is that what you're
No,
doing?
man.
Okay, what is it? Give it to me, Ben.
Jackson Smith, 1 catch, 4 yards.
Wow. That's impressive.
That's the one stat of all of. I mean, if I tell you that, and I give you this is the stat over under. I mean, come on, there's no way.
You're right.
There's no way you pick that
The
one.
Lobos say we're not going to let this one guy beat us with anybody else.
Yep,
we're not
but
letting
him.
this guy beat us, and clearly it worked because 3 points for Rockwall. That is, I didn't think they'd have a chance to win this game. Longview, like I said, I think it might be the best home field advantage in Texas high school football. But to come away with 3 points, that is shocking.
Now, here's the thing. You talked about Longview dialing in and saying we're going to stop Jackson Smith-Jiba. It didn't take very long for that to happen because on the first play of the game, he made a catch, 4 yards in, got hit big time, left the game, was on the sidelines in street clothes, and his right arm was in a sling for the rest of the ball game.
Well, that is
might
extremely
be the
unfortunate.
difference.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jackson Smith-Jiba is a 46-point difference
I don't think
maker.
they win the game, but certainly it
They
could have
put
been
up
a lot
more than
closer.
3 points.
It takes the entire element out of that offense. And as good as Braden Locke has been, he's a sophomore. He's an underclassman.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and in that
there's still a lot
environment-
of learning in that environment. Exactly what we talked about earlier. Without your go-to guy, it completely takes your offense.
Yeah, well, you need
couple notches
You
down.
need everything in your arsenal to beat the Lobos at
No
home.
doubt.
And so when you lose Jackson Smith early like that, I'm sure it sent ripples through the whole team when
that's
your
a
main dog
Absolutely.
goes down.
That's
So-
your security blanket. You're a sophomore quarterback. You're in the most hostile environment you've ever found yourself in, and now the one guy that you depend on most at the quarterback position is now gone, and now your rushing attack becomes, Zach Henry goes for under 50 yards, and that Lobo defense is incredible as well. So let's not forget that.
No,
the Lobo
they've got an
defense,
outstanding
that's
defense.
the best defense you've seen in the most hostile environment, and now they're taking away your best player, and okay, sophomore Braden Locke, show me what you got.
Yeah,
That's a really tough place to find yourself
We
in.
just got to hope that that's nothing serious for Jackson Smith, and we can see him back on the field soon. But Haynes King accounting for 6 total touchdowns, 5 of which came on the ground. An impressive performance from Haynes King. They didn't really have to throw the football a ton. And we talked about that. This is a Longview team that, while Haynes King is one of the better passing quarterbacks in the state, he's the reigning Texas AP Player of the Year. But they want to be a run-first team. Haynes King got it done on the ground with those 5 rushing touchdowns for the Lobos. But Braden Locke, look, he can check one off his resume now. This was the most hostile environment that he will ever play in as a high school starting quarterback. He got that out of the way as a sophomore. He didn't embarrass himself, didn't throw a single interception tonight. I think that's impressive. While they came away with a lopsided loss, I think Braden Locke can learn a lot from this one. So can the rest of the Rockwall Yellow Jackets.
And on the injury front, I do wonder, looking at Longview, Caden Meredith, their stud running back, had over 190 yards last week. They really started to get him going. He only has 3 yards on the ground today. I wonder if there's a similar situation where early in that game, maybe he got banged up and was unable to return. Because I can't imagine, especially against that Rockwall defense and with as big of a lead that Longview had, they were probably really just trying to run the ball. It's weird to see Caden Meredith show up on the stat sheet with 3 yards.
Yeah, I keep going back to that loss to Jackson Smith-Jiba early in the ball game. And like you said, Heckma, I think you put it perfectly, talking about the fact that you need every single piece of your arsenal ready to take on the Longview Lobos. And not only did they not have every piece in that arsenal ready, they had quite possibly their most important piece in the middle of that out of the ball game on the first play. And that takes a whole different element out.
Hey, man, that takes the crowd noise out of it. That takes everybody. I mean, that flattens everything once Jackson Smith goes down on the first play. But, guys, here's another very interesting thing that I think to the whole Longview march to AT&T is I've said it, and I keep looking at the teams that are going to be in that division with them. If Denton Guyer goes to Division II, that's going to be for everybody that has Longview just kind of like etched in stone that they're going to the state championship. Man, you better hold on to your receipt, because I'm telling you, Denton Guyer may allow you to keep the change. I mean, it's just one of those.
You're not getting an argument from me.
And the thing about it is that it's going to be two teams that have enough firepower to compete.
No doubt.
And a Guyer defense that can stop that run game.
And I'm interested in talking about firepower. I'm interested to see what Rockwall's firepower has. There was a tweet a couple moments ago from Nick Harris on Twitter, said Jackson Smith-Jiba suffered a dislocated shoulder and Rockwall's lost to Longview tonight. And we actually have Nick on the phone at the moment. Nick, overall, I know you were around that hit. It was kind of an ugly hit. But tell us about what happened with Jackson Smith-Jiba on that first play of the ball game, because I mean that's a game changer for Rockwall.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey guys, good to be on. So yeah, on the first play of the game, just a pass across the middle, a normal Braden Locke to Jackson Smith-Jigba type pass, and a safety just came across to Jackson's right side and clipped him just right. And he was down in pain almost immediately, took his helmet off and was kind of writhing in pain. So you could almost immediately tell that there was something wrong. And I assume that they popped it back in on the sideline right after, because he came in for about 4 plays afterward. But then once Longview started to pull away in the first quarter, they went ahead and took him out as precaution, I would imagine. And then he was out for the rest of the game. And in the second half, he was in street clothes and with a sling on his right arm. But I talked to him afterward, and he seems that he'll be in high hopes. And I hope to get some more info on him next week. And just hope the 4 stars all right, because 6A football wouldn't quite be the same without Jackson Smith-Jigba this year.
No question about it, Nick. And I do wonder about Caden Meredith, the running back for Longview. It says he only popped up on the stat sheet for 3 yards. Did he get banged up in the game, or what was going on with Meredith?
It was mainly just kind of a different type of offense that I've seen John King run before, the head coach for Longview. I think he just kind of had Rodney Webb's number tonight and threw in some different schemes that, might not quite be seen in film that Longview's had for this whole season. The rushing attack was mainly led by Haynes King. He had 5 rushing touchdowns on his own, and they were mainly on designed runs on read options and quarterback draws. And then any handoff was to the fullback on, some inside fullback dives. So I think it was just kind of a different type of offensive style that John King wanted to bring tonight, and just kind of pose a different challenge in anticipation of, Rodney Webb coming with a different challenge of himself. And John King seemed to better this matchup here tonight.
Nick, what was the atmosphere like there in Longview? Obviously, I've mentioned it. I think the Lobos might have the best home field advantage in the state of Texas. I'm sure it was electric there.
Yeah, if they don't have if they don't have the best atmosphere in Texas high school football, it's definitely top 5. I actually grew up in Tyler up until I was 10 years old, so I kind of have a familiarity with the Longview area and, the community that they have, and they are just so backed behind the Lobos. And you can see it all the way from elementary school in the Longview system all the way up to celebrities like Matthew McConaughey, who are in the celebrity world and still care about the Longview Lobos as much as he does. It's a community that thrives around the Lobos, and it's a culture that John King has been able to build there over the last 15 to 20 years. And now with them finally getting that state ring last year, it's so amplified right now, the Longview atmosphere, and it was seen very early on tonight. Sold out crowd. I was getting in with about 30 minutes before kickoff, and the home side was already sold out. And then by kickoff rolled around, by the eye test, I could tell that the visitor side was sold out as well. So it's just a crazy atmosphere that Longview has over here out east, and it's tough for any team to come out here and play.
Yeah, Nick, you got to tell me about that defense. I mean, looking at the stat sheet here, you can see that this was a defensive dominating game. Was it just that they were given their offense, just the ball as far as graded field position for them? How did that Lobos defense play today?
The Lobo defense was fantastic, and I tried to take into account the fact that Jackson Smith went out on the very first play of the game, and how that can change an offense like Rockwall so drastically so fast. I tried to take that into account, but the more the game went on, the more I just realized that the Longview defense is just damn good. Like, you just can't get around that fact. They were flustering Braden Locke all night, and Locke is becoming a quarterback in the 2022 class. He's respected, and I wouldn't be surprised if a year and a half from now he's ranked as the top quarterback in that class in the state of Texas, and he didn't have his way all night. The front seven for Longview is very, very impressive, and it reminds me of a Lone Star front seven that I saw a couple of weeks ago. It's just the Longview defense came out to play tonight, and I know that was a question mark coming into the season because they had to replace some defensive starters, but they've shown their way these first 5 games of the season. They shut out John Tyler early on in the season, and they beat a pretty good West Monroe team last week, 17-7, held them to only 7 points, and then we all know how powerful Rockwall's offense was, and they didn't even get into the end zone tonight. Wow. Their only points came on a 40-yard field goal as time expired in the first half. So it's just a really impressive effort by the Lobo defense.
They've been magnificent so far. Nick Harris from the Old Coach joining us here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Nick, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you. I'll see y'all next week.
All right, sounds good. Nick Harris joining us here in Week 5. And, man, that's a tough Longview team that we're going to have to keep an eye on coming up over the next couple of weeks. Let's go back through some of our Friday finals now as they continue to roll in. Before we get into our Friday finals, I've got an update from Denton. Denton Braswell and the Bengals against Lovejoy and the Leopards. Oh, my goodness. 51-all. In the third overtime.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Game of the night.
Third OT between those two squads. Look at the numbers on both sides. The Bengals on the right side, Lovejoy Leopards on the other side. Wow. 27 first downs to 24, over 600 yards of total offense. And remember, college-style OTs, the numbers were there at the end of regulation. This has been one of the best ball games of the year.
Yeah, and really it looks like Braswell's going to start the ball here in the third overtime. So we'll see if the Bengals can go ahead and get this one done. The pressure is on them right now, and then it'll be, if they can score, can their defense go ahead and get that stop? Really, no defense has come to play so far here tonight.
Well, I think they have to go for 2 now every time as well, do they not? Like, once you get to the third overtime, once you score a touchdown, you have to go for 2. So that's going to play another role here as this game continues along. But my goodness, we came into it. I mean, Walchuk, you previewed this game, and you said it was one of the closest. I mean, these teams are extremely evenly matched. Absolutely.
And 2 really good quarterbacks with Rucker and Thompson. So I thought this one would be high scoring. I don't think I could have predicted 3 overtimes between the two.
If you would have, you'd have been genius.
Yeah, no, I'm not that good.
And remember, this is the same district overall as Frisco Reedy. I mean, this is an important game overall. We saw what Frisco and Frisco Reedy had.
It's a fun district.
District 7,
really
5A,
two of the best games. 2 of the best games of the night. Go to that district.
No doubt.
Looking good. Another game that went to it was District 4 6A, Arlington Lamar. On the road against, quote unquote, on the road against Arlington Martin. It seemed like there was a home field advantage for Arlington Martin.
I was wrong.
My goodness.
Yeah, you and me both, bro. You and me both. Did we get the post-game interview with the Hartley family?
We do. It's not with the Hartley, but let's actually go to that. Mallory Hartley got a chance to catch up here with the head man from Arlington Martin.
Friday Night Stars, and I'm here with Martin's head coach, Bob Wager. Coach, you guys went into last year 0-4. This year, you just advanced to 3-1. What is that main difference between your team this year and your team last year?
A level of maturity, really, really good players. Nobody wins without really, really good players, and we've got them. And the guys that were, in this situation last year were sophomores and juniors. Those guys are now juniors and seniors.
Absolutely. During that first quarter, couldn't get any points up on that scoreboard, but second quarter, what ignition started your offense, sparked it up?
Zach Mundell. Mundell with 2 dynamic runs, a great throw into the wind in the third quarter. Zach Mundell was the best player on the field tonight.
Absolutely. And such a dominant win over a District 4 6A team. What can you learn from this?
Well, we got to get better. I don't know what the penalty total was, but I think we may have quadrupled them up in that regard. So obviously we got to learn how to play cleaner football. One was a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on a peel back block, which is a new rule this year. And so another guy's making a hustle play without a helmet on. And so those are just teachable moments that give us an opportunity to grow and get better. But from an effort standpoint, I think we just keep going back to work and banging that rock and trying to get better every single day.
Absolutely. Coach, congrats on your win. Go enjoy it.
All right. Thank you very much.
You can catch this week's game on our Twitter page, Friday_Stars, or you can check out our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.
Thanks so much, Mallory. Coach Wager did not have the same issue as Mallory Hartley with the wind at that point. Coach Wager with the bald head, and then Mallory's just having to deal with it, man. I just looked it up. The wind gust in Arlington.
150?
No, right around 18.
Wow.
So still definitely something.
Just from the looks of it. Looks can be deceiving. Hey, but he said it. Coach gave all the credit in the world to Zach Mundell. He completed his first 13 passes of the night, finished 15-17, over 200 yards through the air, and they avenged that loss from last year, which was 52-11.
And we have to start addressing him right. That's junior quarterback. Wow. Zach.
Yeah, last year, took over as a sophomore. I think it was against that Trinity.
Added to the list of incredible quarterbacks that we have in the area.
It's something to be said about that. I mean, the number of guys that we have in this area that are awesome.
Mundell could not throw the football his sophomore year. He really could not. And he has taken that to a next level. He certainly went ahead and worked on it. We knew he could run, and he had that 70-something yard rushing touchdown, which really went ahead and flipped the momentum in Martin's favor. But to pass for 206 yards tonight, very impressive.
Especially in that hurricane-like wind.
The wind and a Lamar defense that, Eric, you mentioned it coming in. Lamar's defense had played pretty darn well.
Been really good.
Up until this point.
Up until they faced the Mundells.
Yeah, until Mundell stepped on the field and said, let me complete my first 13 and run for over $120.
By the way, quick update before we head into our final break here in Friday Night Stars overtime. Flower Mound just took the lead with 12 seconds left.
This game has been absolutely amazing. It looked like Louisville was going to win this one, but Louisville gave up some chunk plays. Blake Short, when the game is on the line, he came to play here late in the fourth quarter, moving it down the field. Pierce Hudgens ends up getting it in from 2 yards out with 12 seconds left in the fourth quarter. So the Jags, but look, Louisville has done some interesting special teams plays this year. So they had that 8-yard punt.
Well, they better dig it up. They better dig one up. And you're smiling. Boy, I tell you. No way.
Give it to me, baby. That one's for you, Jillian.
I'm sick to myself. I mean, I'm gonna be last now, I guess, in the predictions. That's probably the way this thing's gonna unfold because I picked Lamar, of course, and then
it also depends. It also depends on the final score. This one's not over yet.
It's not over yet. Why don't you just go have a pity party? Let's not celebrate the great game. Let's be selfish and worry about our picks.
Walchuk just referenced their big punt as to why their special teams might be able to pull something off.
Maybe they can get a nice kick return.
Yeah.
Maybe so. I mean, overall, what a game this has been. This has just been.
How are we looking on the picks, by the way?
Blake Short was the MVP of the game tonight. By the way,
it's a fantastic game. Let's focus on the fantastic game.
We'll talk about the picks here in a little bit. I've got the tally going.
My goodness,
I've got it. So we're going to take a break.
Game, and that's all anybody can think about.
We're going to talk. We're going to drop. We're going to head into a break, going into the final 30 minutes here of Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Week 5. We'll give you all the highlights and finals when we return here from Frisco.
One and only Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I ate a lot of meat. They showed us commercials. Steak. That's what a man eats. Selling that idea that real men eat meat. Serious man food. But you got to understand, that's marketing. That's not based on reality.
I've been teaching fighting techniques to government agencies for more than 15 years. Then, I got injured. Unable to teach for at least 6 months, I spent more than 1,000 hours studying science on recovery and nutrition, and stumbled across a study about the Roman gladiators.
The gladiators were predominantly vegetarian.
How could the original professional fighters be so powerful, eating only plants?
When I made the switch to a plant-based diet, I qualified for my 3rd Olympic team. I broke 2 American records. I was like, man, I should have done this a long while ago.
plant-based, I wasn't sure if I was going to survive. And I actually became like a machine.
One of the biggest misconceptions in sports nutrition is that we have to have animal protein to perform at a high level. That's just not true.
Sometimes you have to do things that you know your competitors aren't doing.
Today's blood and yesterday's blood.
Sam. I think this is going to wake a lot of people up.
I was recovering better, not getting as sore. This was our best season in the last 15 years, and we had 14 guys on plant-based diets.
We all want to feel great, have more energy.
Cholesterol was 276. Today, 169.
Whoa, now you're talking.
Most guys my age can keep up with the grandchildren. My grandchildren can't keep up with me.
It's not one set of dietary guidelines for improving your performance as an athlete, another one for reversing heart disease, reversing diabetes. It's the same for all of them.
Someone asked me, how could you get as strong as an ox without eating any meat? And my answer was, have you ever seen an ox eating meat?
From the beautiful Star in Frisco. Week 5 coming to a close. Underneath 30 minutes left here in Whataburger Friday Night Stars Overtime. Welcome in. As Eric takes his seat.
Sorry. I like to stand in the break. You know, these chairs aren't necessarily the most comfortable in the world.
You're right.
Except
and you
for
used to stand the majority of the time anyways.
That was sort of my move. But I don't get that luxury anymore.
No, it's
so
okay.
We fight.
Do we?
That's what we do.
Do we fight like the fighting farmers?
We fight through it, exactly. Well, unlike the fighting farmers who fell short tonight.
They certainly fought.
They.
I don't think that game's final yet, guys.
I don't think it's final either.
What's there? 4 seconds left.
There's 6.
Gotcha. They're
That's
down.
True. They are on their own.
They are down by 4.
The odds are stacked against them.
Unless
they have Jalen Kitten throwing for them.
But what a game it was.
That's the only pick I've gotten wrong so far.
That's the only one. You've had a heck of a day. And when we did our predictions, we knew it was like, wow, Kyle's either just going bold and just going to have an unbelievable night, or it's just going to be the worst night ever. Turns out it's been an incredible night for you.
Turns out I actually know what I'm talking about.
Pretty good night. Pretty good
just
night.
happy
about
for you.
that.
That's
Pretty
all.
good night for us, Kyle.
Yeah, we're doing
For
pretty
us.
Good.
Yeah, like they
Who's
do
the
their
only one
picks
that picked
together
Flower
now.
Mound?
Me?
No, me.
I picked Flower Mound.
You picked Flower Mound?
Yeah.
Oh,
God, that's what I'm
yeah.
Arlington Martin.
I think the only
you
thing
picked Arlington Martin?
Yes.
Hey,
I think the only thing you and I differed on was the Frisco Reedy.
You're right.
And then you differed
You almost
elsewhere.
got that one.
I think you differed on one.
I went
other
with
one.
Mesquite. I don't know
Yes,
if you
that's
went
what
with
I went with Horn.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like when you talk about your fantasy team.
A little bit, maybe.
It's a little
Nobody
bit
else
like
cares
that.
about it, but,
Exactly.
but we care about it.
We certainly care about it.
We absolutely care about it.
But a really great game here between Flower Mound and Louisville.
Yeah, we're gonna look at that here in a moment. Whenever it does go final, with 6 seconds left, a penalty on Louisville, and we may get a chance to talk to Grayson Nolet here before the end of the show. Hopefully, we can call in because he's on the call for the Louisville Fighting Farmers, but we would like to just get an idea of how this game was. Rivalry game, too. We talked about it coming down to the final possession. This might be that crazy play that we kind of talked about earlier that could end up being the difference maker.
Where's Miles Price when you need him, huh?
That's true. Not there.
Nope. He's sitting cool on his Colony victory tonight, where he accounted for like 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, where he was all over the place. Let's go real quickly to Bishop Dunn and Fort Worth All Saints. This was a game that was led by Fort Worth All Saints earlier in the ball game, but Bishop Dunn turns things around. After getting shut out in the first half, they do get it done, and they win this one 14-2. Big time win in the TAPS ranks.
Yeah, huge. And they have a running back / linebacker who plays both sides of the ball. He's dominant. Joshua Emanuel. He recovered a fumble on defense and rushed for a touchdown. And he was really sort of their MVP of the night. 40 yards on the ground with a touchdown. Only 5 carries, but his touchdown came on a 1-yard run with Bishop Dunn's lead. It extended the lead in the third quarter, and that really was the sealer for them. And we talked about it coming in. We didn't know if Bishop Dunn's offense was going to be able to keep up with All Saints because we know about Hamp Fay at the quarterback spot, Matlock, who's sort of a Mr. Do-It-All for
I don't know
All
if
Saints.
Fay played tonight.
Yeah, that's right. He didn't make the stat sheet.
Is that what it is?
And that could be a big factor in this for the All Saints, because you have a win last week against such a high-powered offense in Parrish. Fay, it looks like it was Mr. Epperson who played for Fay tonight.
Gotcha. Okay, well then that explains everything, because this Dunn defense, when we came into this game, we knew that the Dunn defense is really that's their strong suit. And dating back to last year when they won the championship in Taps, it's because that defense was so good. Now they lost a lot of talent, but they're still good enough to be keeping them in games. But we didn't know if they could score enough points. But to see them hold All Saints to only 2 points, you're thinking, wow, what the heck? That Dunn defense just must have been unbelievable tonight. Well, if Hamp Fay's not playing, he's one of the best passers in the area. He came into tonight with almost 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns to 1 interception, completing 70% of his passes. So, yeah, that's a huge kick in the groin for All Saints if Hamp Fay was unable to go tonight, no question.
Yeah, well, this is a Bishop Dunn team that literally needed this victory badly.
Yeah, they had to have
so the must-win situation for them. And obviously, with some of the games that they lost early and even Taps games, this All Saints team came in looking like they were going to give them a pretty good competition, but not so much, man. Evans, he played his tail off, 119 yards. And here in the stats, man, something that may not show up is Joshua Emmanuel turning over, getting that fumble recovery for Dunn. So Dunn's
one of those two stud linebackers.
Exactly. And he goes both ways. He plays running back and linebacker as well. So this is a kid, and like I said, this is a Dunn defense that from last year, they had their struggles. They lost a lot of guys, but they come right back. They continue to play tough, and they're not really into the meat of their season yet, so they're just getting warmed up.
That's right. They still got Parrish. Yeah, exactly. They got Parrish, Lynch, and Prestonwood on the horizon. So this is a huge win for them. And fortunately enough, they didn't have to go up against Hamp Fay. I think this would have been definitely a different ball game, especially with All Saints being at home in this game. If Fay plays, then this is a completely different game.
Absolutely. I mean, whenever you only end up with 2 points no points offensively,
exactly.
The points come only from your defense. You would expect that to change. By the way, we do have a Friday final from Flower Mound as Louisville, and that video being vertical kind of takes it off there from Officer Labello, but the Jags get it done, 34-30 final score, and even though the video's a little bit off there,
just a little,
couple laterals and then a nice play defensively by the Jags to finish out the ball game. But 34-30 final score, Flower Mound taking down Louisville in that one.
Yeah, an incredible performance, I think, by Blake Short towards the end of this one. Really, and Hudgens, those are the two guys. Blake Short, Pierce Hudgens back for their senior go-around after great junior campaigns. This was a slugfest, back and forth between both sides. Louisville scored late in the fourth quarter. Flower Mound had to respond. Blake Short takes him the length of the field, and then Pierce Hudgens finishes the deal with 12 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. Both these teams played their hearts out. It stinks that one of them had to lose, but Flower Mound coming away with the victory, and that could end up being the dictator of who wins that district.
Yeah, Flower Mound 2 years in a row get the victory versus the Farmers. And you say it correctly, Short. I mean, the more experienced quarterback in this game, he really makes it count when they need it. And Pierce Hudgens getting that big touchdown for him. And we all doubted, man, that Flower Mound, because we think that they're still traumatized by what Prosper did to them. They look like they got over that quick.
They did have 2 weeks to prepare for this one, so that might have helped.
It may have a lot to do with it, but at the same time, they pull off a big victory tonight.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Talking about big victories, though, how about Denton Braswell? Triple overtime in that ball game. Take a look at this. This is the final play of the ball game. Triple OT, 4th and 8 for Lovejoy. Oh, the sack to end it. And look at the jubilation on the Bengals sideline. Zach, you mentioned it earlier. Could be a defining moment for that Bengals program. A big win over Lovejoy, and even bigger for their hopes inside District 7 5A Division II.
An incredible win. I couldn't be happier for Braswell and Lovejoy.
My God.
Again, R.W. Rucker, really an outstanding performance for Lovejoy, but I called the first ever Braswell game that they played against Northwest Eaton. It was the first game for both those schools, and it was a tough year for Braswell. I mean, they did not win a game, and some of them were really ugly, but Now those kids that were freshmen are now seniors. Grayson Thompson is up there with one of the best quarterbacks in the area. Cam Smith is a dynamite receiver. They made the plays they had to tonight, and the Denton Braswell Bengals got a huge win, their biggest win, in my opinion, in program history, and this could propel them to their first ever playoff berth in school history.
Well, how about that defensive end with the curtain call right there? I mean,
Amari
God
Banks.
almighty.
Amari Banks, got to show him
talk
some
about
love.
good night, Irene.
That's a walk-off.
Whoa.
Walk-off sack. Amari Banks, that's incredible.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive.
Over 1,000 yards of offense in this
3
game.
overtimes. I mean, this was the game of the night. I know
it's crazy.
Flower Mound and Louisville was outstanding, but 3 overtimes between these two schools, very evenly matched, big-time district game.
I was about to say, the district implications definitely ramp it up a little bit.
But how about Braswell had a big lead? Lovejoy had 24 unanswered to come back and rally at the end of the third, into the fourth quarter.
That's a good point.
To even send this game to overtime. So tons of ebbs and flows. And for Braswell to be able to handle all those emotions and come through with the win in the third overtime, man, shout out to Coach Coney Moore and the Braswell Bengals tonight. This night is for you.
What a win for Denton Braswell. They may be popping up in our
I love Braswell.
Friday.
Let's go, Braswell.
Golly, that was from the heart.
That
right
was
there.
from the heart.
This is for you.
We might see that a little bit in our Friday Night Stars coming up here in about 10 minutes or so. Moving on, Frisco Reedy. The game across the hallway was a pretty good one. After it looked like Frisco was going to pull away early, that was not necessarily the
Your
case.
Reedy Lions certainly made this one close.
They came back 28-7 was the score early in that one, and then all of a sudden Frisco Reedy got on the offensive, came all the way back, took a 31-28 lead, and then Frisco toward the end of the ball game came back and comes out with the win, 35-31, in what was one of the classic games from the Ford Center.
Yeah, the Raccoons for the last 2 weeks here in the Ford Center have been balling. But, I mean, Kyrie Green didn't have the same kind of game that he had a couple weeks ago. He kind of struggled in this one. Jalen Kittner played a really good game, but it all came down to those final minutes. My guy, what's his name? Our guy, you know him, you love him. He's
Crowley.
number 1, Crowley.
Lowry.
It's Lowry.
What I say? Crowley with the big plays.
It's Lowry.
It's Lowry.
My guy Lowry.
But I'm changing his name to Crowley, baby. 9 catches, 154 yards, and a touchdown.
He came. Basically, what I'm saying is he came through tonight, and you know this was a tough test. This was a tough test for Frisco. I mean, Reedy is with that young quarterback, young team. They're going to be really good.
You can just start to see that team growing. You know, by the end of the year, Reedy, if they sneak into the playoffs, that's not a team that I would want to face. That could be an upset looming. Frisco Reedy, with Jalen Kittner getting more and more confident there under center. That defense came up with some big stops there in the second half after giving up 22 points to start the game in the first quarter. This was a nice game between both these teams that I think will both end up making the playoffs out of this district. But how much of a luxury is it for Green, who can just roll to his right, roll to his left, and chunk it up there to Mr. Lowry? And I'd say 8-9 times out of 10, he's going to use that big frame, go up there, high point the football, and come down with it.
And that's literally what he's doing. He's chunking it up to him. I mean, there's a lot of those runs, a lot of those big catches that we saw.
He's got 2 or 3 guys around him, and Larry's just big arm in this thing.
They're playing Jackpot. Remember Jackpot? Didn't we all used to play? It's literally what they're playing out there, and his guy Lowry comes down with it each and every time. And the big play of their game-winning drive where they're having to move down the field. I don't think they had any timeout. There was about 2 minutes left in that game. They're marching. They get to about midfield, and what do? They roll out, play a little Jackpot with Lowry. He catches it inside the 5-yard line. Next play, they run it in for a touchdown. So yeah, Lowry's just he's an absolute beast.
That would probably be a better nickname for Chase Lowry rather than calling him Crowley or whatever you guys are.
No, it's just a mistake by my part.
Yeah, no, I know. But you could call him Jackpot Lowry because that's exactly what he's been.
I like Jackpot
He's
Lowry.
been pretty impressive over
Kyle Yeoman's coming up with a nickname.
You're my star of the week. You're my Friday Night Star of the week, Kyle.
By the way, I went 4-1 in the picks.
I hate you so much. I would actually I would give you some love on that if I came anywhere close, but I think I was maybe 1-4,
You went 2-3.
2-3.
So Heckman went 2-3, Eric went 2-3, Zach went 3-2, and I went 4-1.
Gotcha.
Picks.
Wow. So me and Zach now at the bottom of the barrel.
Picked up a couple games there on YouTube.
Picked up a couple.
Big
Picked up
time.
one. You picked up
time.
one.
Big time.
on the way back. Continuing forward before Zach and Heckma hit each other across the table. Keller on the road against South Lake Carroll this Friday. Final going in favor of South Lake Carroll, even though the first quarter and a half did not necessarily go in favor of the Dragons. Oh, they turned it on. 56-14, no doubt about it, for South Lake. 456 yards of total offense, and they put up another 56 points. Looked like early Keller and the Indians were going to make this a ball game, but then the Dragons figured it out. Riley Dodge and company just put it on them late.
It's just the Dragons doing what Dragons do.
You know, right?
Just pulling away. 56-14. Keller, again, they did put up a fight. They didn't go down easy, but in the last minute, what's our guy? Ewers,
yeah.
Ewers is all over it.
Yeah, he was.
He was.
What are you about to say?
He was fantastic.
What are you about to say over there, Zach?
No, nothing. I'll talk with Kyle about these prediction standings after the game. I think that I've been misjudged.
And they spread the wealth tonight. South Lake did. They had 4 or 5 different guys score touchdowns. Ewers found 3 or 4 of them. Blake Smith, the tight end, he only had 19 yards through the air, but one of them was a touchdown. His red zone presence is huge, and
because he's huge in the red zone.
Yeah, exactly, no question. So when you look ahead to next week, a team like Guy or Blake Smith, I would imagine, is going to be one of those guys who didn't have a huge stat line tonight, though he did come away with the touchdown. I bet next week he's going to probably have a big game, and especially if South Lake wants to, come out and win that game, especially Blake Smith, that tight end, is going to have a big night next week against Guy in that defense.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. That's going to be a tough matchup, but you gotta know as well that South Lake Carroll defense is going to have to live up to their billing because
they've been great so far.
Absolutely.
This will be the toughest test they've probably faced with Geyer. Geyer might be one of the most balanced teams in the entire area. When you look at what Cobb's able to do on the ground, plus Stowers running. Stowers had an outstanding game on the ground last night. But with Seth Metter and company, the receivers, every game, Geyer seems like they've got another receiver that's joining the party, and Eli Stowers is getting better and better as a passer. So that's going to be an outstanding game. I think we'll really have to see the pressure on Quinn Ewers, which one of those quarterbacks can step up. Ultimately, that could be another game that comes down to the final possession, much like last year's. I cannot wait to see Geyer and South Lake.
And that's the intangible that you got to talk about is the fact that if things break down for Eli Stowers in the passing game, he'll just take off on you.
I think Stowers has the edge. Last year, this time, was the complete role reversal. When you looked at Will Bowers being the senior versus the sophomore quarterback. This year, heading into that game, my confidence is in the junior Eli Stowers.
Wow. What a game that's going to be. That's going to be just an unreal game next week. We might have to send like 2 reporters to that one. It's going to be so good overall. Now, I do want to apologize. Zach Wolchuk did go 4-1 this week.
How'd he do that?
I forgot to put a tally on my little chart that I'm
How'd he
making.
do that?
I've got 45 things I'm doing while also
the only
trying
game
to
I
keep
missed
the wheels
was
on the bus.
Mesquite Horn. I went with Mesquite.
Mm-hmm. You're right. No, that's exactly right.
I picked Martin to beat Lamar. I picked Flower Mound to beat Louisville. Right?
Yes.
I picked Longview to beat Rockwall.
Hey, big congratulations to you.
So,
big congratulations to you.
You guys gave me a lot of crud to take Flower Mound.
Yeah, Louisville was the one team in all of sports history that I wanted to win more than ever.
Eric hated
tonight.
me for taking Flower Mound.
And who else did you get?
Frisco over Reedy.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was the only one
Kyle
that
was
got
the
that
only one
one
to
wrong.
take Reedy. That was the only thing he didn't get.
What'd you say about a horse? What'd you say about a horse and water and all that?
That blind horse.
What'd you say about that?
I thought it was a
Find that
We got
horse
other
and water
games. We got
story.
other games. Let's go.
How about this? Little Elm on the road against Frisco. Lone Star, the Lone Star Rangers, #1 in the state at the 5A level, and they showed exactly why again today. 3 turnovers in the first quarter of this one, and they never, ever looked back as they just got up early, and often they continued to score, and just an overall pretty impressive win for Lone Star again over a good Little Elm team. I mean, that's a Lobos team that is going to be fighting for a playoff spot in District 5A, but once again, Lone Star just showing that they're on a whole nother level.
And this is a night where Marvin Mims doesn't have the type of Marvin Mims game offensively. Now, when you look into the fact that he also had a 59-yard punt return for a touchdown, that changes things up a little bit. But when you see his initial stat line of 3 catches, about 68 yards and a touchdown, he obviously obviously had some big plays and he did score, but we've seen him have games where he's more like 10 catches for 150 plus and a few scores offensively. So to see Frisco, not have their best player not play up to necessarily his standard offensively and still dominate the game, that bodes well for him.
That is really it's something that kind of sticks out for Lone Star, who he's been their go-to guy for the entirety of the 2019 season so far, and he's been absolutely impressive. Josh Price actually got a chance to catch up with Mims on the sideline following the final score.
Hello, I am Joshua Price for Friday Night Stars, here with Marvin Mims. And Marvin, you were a stud, not last week, but against Highland Park, where you just balled out. How have you carried that momentum from that game through your bye week and onto this game?
Mainly it's preparation. You know how we prepare for games. We prepare for games with the same opponent like every time, every week. And Highland Park was a big confidence boost, so I felt pretty good going to this game. Felt pretty good going to district. So everybody's heads are up, and we're just ready to go 1-0 every week from now on. Yeah,
and you and Randall, there seems to be a connection there. Is there a connection? A good connection?
This is the first time I ever had a younger quarterback than me. So me having quarterbacks from three different quarterbacks every 3 years I play, it's different. But Garrett, from the moment he got here as a freshman, we knew we were going to be special. And he knows the offense better than anyone here. So I'm not surprised by what he's doing. We expected it, but he's turning some heads out there. And that's a really good thing.
Yeah, and you had 2 touchdowns tonight. One was a reception, but one was a passing touchdown. What came into play on that one?
Even last year we had some trick plays where I throw the ball. We did one against Highland Park that got called back, but that's always a gadget we keep in the book just in case. We want to give the fans a show. It's first district game, especially home, so everybody came out that could, and we just want to put on a show. So
yeah. And now you're 1-0 in district. You're 4-0 overall. What's the keys to staying on top of your district right now?
Basically, just like I said, go 1-0 every week. Game preparation, the same thing. No matter who we play, whether it's anyone. We're going to come out and prepare the same way we do every week, and we're just going to come out here and ball out.
All right. Thank you very much, Marvin. Congrats on the win. Go enjoy it with you guys. Thank you.
Just want to make a show for the fans, right?
Just a stud. I love Marvin Mims, man.
He's well spoken. He's got all the.
He's going to
He's
Stanford.
got the right. That's true. He's going to
they
Stanford.
don't just take anybody.
No, not at all. But goodness gracious, he just goes. We just wanted to put on a show for the fans. No big deal. Let's just put up a ton of points and continue to score.
What are you giggling about over there?
I love the mentality to go 1-0 every single week, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to go 1-0 16
Sounds
times.
like a coach's kid.
It does sound like a coach's kid.
But the kid is absolutely explosive. He's a big part of what they're doing. But I'm more impressed by what they're doing in the running game. I know that we came in talking about Rangel and what he's doing and him filling in at the beginning of the year and knowing that Lone Star, that's the one thing that they needed was consistency at the quarterback position. They didn't have that last year. Now they have it with Mims. But now they also know that with Jake Bogdan and Jalen Nixon, they can run the ball. And that defense is stingy. They're going to keep people out of the end zone. That lockdown, we look for Watts to have a good game versus our guy Mims. Didn't look like it. He shut him down first half, but there still was some big plays there. So Watt may be a guy at Lil Lamb that we have to start paying attention to too, because he held Marvin Mims to under 150 yards like we're used to seeing this guy do each and every week. But like I said, the more impressive thing was the Lone Star Ranger running game.
And that defense as well, forcing 5 turnovers and having 3 interceptions in the first quarter. And offensively, they capitalized on all 3 of those. It's really just a perfect game for Frisco on both sides of the ball.
Yeah. They've been as good as can be. It's one of the reasons why they are number 1 in the state of Texas. So week 5 kind of coming to a close here for Whataburger Friday Night
Can't believe
Stars.
Zach went 4-1.
He did go 4-1.
Burns me a little bit. Something not right about the night when that happened.
Doesn't feel good. The next week's going to suck.
By the way, Zach also misrepresented in our graphic a little bit earlier. Said he was 13-5. He's actually 15-8. So the 3,
just a lot of errors going on.
Yeah, right.
I don't
you
know,
see that?
I don't know.
You see how that happens
for this?
You see how that happens?
You see the notes that I've printed for you every week? They're on the notes.
These guys are just bitter losers.
Anyways, he's only 1 game back from you now, Heckma.
That's fine.
After this week.
Am I last now? Is that where that put me?
Hey,
yes, you are last.
You're home.
Right at home, baby.
Do we have time? I
was wondering why I felt so comfortable.
Do we have the scores?
Yeah, let's run through those scores. That's kind of where I was going to.
Okay.
Let's go to some of the 6A scores from around the area. we talked about some of the top games, but definitely plenty of other games to look at. One of which we talked about earlier, Waxahachie on the road against Cedar Hill, and Cedar Hill able to come out on top in that one. It's not on the sheet there, but Lakeview Centennial 64-3.
Wow.
Oh, man. And there was 42 points put up by Lakeview Centennial in the first quarter of that football game. Hebron, big-time winners over Irving Nimitz. Flower Mound Marcus blanking Irving in that one. Plenty of blowout scores. Duncanville continues to roll 42-0 as we go to the next page here. There's Cedar Hills whenever they're going to pop up here. 30. Oh, then that's actually a flip-flop score. Waxahachie fell in that ball game to Cedar Hill 63-34. But Tyler Lee, big win over Rockwall Heath, and like you said, Weatherford giving San Antonio Central a little bit of a close one in that one. Going to 5A scores around the area, Birdville, oh my goodness. Look at the Hawks. 74-zip.
Hey, you want to know who my Friday night star of the night? Stone Earl, 7 of 9, 6 touchdown passes, baby. 6 of his 7 completions going for touchdowns. That's efficiency.
Mansfield Legacy continues to struggle to put up points on the board. Highland Park gets back on the right track after their loss to Lone Star in a bye week. 66 to nothing.
Eric's Northwest Texans got off the schneid.
How about that one? Lancaster over Samuel. Oh my, 73 to nothing there. As we go to the 4A scores from around the DFW area, Brock falls to Pilot Point. That's a pretty good Pilot Point squad.
Well, they couldn't beat Gunter last week, but they come back with a nice win over Brock.
Somebody's a little salty about that one.
Yeah,
Waco La Vega, an impressive win over a good Midlothian Heritage squad, 58-14. La Vega, big time. Argyle trailed early against Liberty Elaw, but comes back and wins that one 63-42. And then finally, the private schools from around the area. Prestonwood, a tight one over Houston St. Pius, 12-0. Kincaid takes down ESD.
There's your Lincoln score.
Yeah, there's the Lincoln score down at the
So
bottom
when
there.
did Lincoln become a private school?
Not as bad as I thought.
Because they're playing a private school.
Is that what it is?
Fort Worth
Okay, way to
Nolan.
go.
Yeah,
Way to
so
go.
Quit whining.
Parish Episcopal gets back on track
Unbelievable.
after their loss to Fort Worth.
Had
All
to throw
Saints.
that in there, Chris Beam. Thank you.
How about San Antonio Cornerstone, 50-35 over Bishop Lynch? It's a Bishop Lynch squad that you don't normally see having 50 points put up against them, and then a shootout between Argyle Liberty Christian and China Spring, 58 to
Parish
56.
Episcopal got back in it.
Yeah, they definitely did after their loss to Fort Worth All Saints last week. So there's your scores from around the DFW area. That's going to do it here for Week 5 of Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Zach, you already gave your star of the week, so it's Stone Earl. He's been impressive. Eric, who you got?
I got 2. I got to give Miles Price some love for scoring 100 touchdowns tonight, and also the defensive lineman Amari Banks for Braswell. Triple overtime walk-off sack to win the game.
Wasn't that killer?
This night's for you, Braswell.
This night's for you, Braswell. That's right.
Heckma?
Drizzy Drake Logan.
Bars.
SGP.
Oh, my star of the night is Chris Beam because he brought gummy worms and peanut butter M&Ms that we've been snacking on in the middle of the
Dude,
breaks.
they're so good.
Oh,
He's been snacking on them during the show in our ear,
You know what
too.
else is irresistible? Whataburger.
Amen.
That's where we're going right now. Thanks so
spicy.
much for joining us here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Week 5 will be back 7 o'clock or 5 o'clock next week here from the Star in Frisco. For Heckma Harrison, for Eric Chiafalo, and Zach Wolchuk here in studio. Back in the control room, you got Tyler, Jeremy, Matt, and Chris all holding it down. Chance Williams back there as well. For everybody involved here with Whataburger Friday Night Stars, I'm Kyle Yeomans. So long until next week, and God bless.